Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto was champion of Amaterasu. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by gekkokage, link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Ch.1. Meeting the Salamander. The sky was dim as rain began to pour down heavily on the village of Amegaku hidden in the rain. The grayish clouds gave a somber, draining sense of boredom as an 8-year-old boy with blonde hair and oceanic eyes rode in a carriage with his Jiji heroes in Sarutobi. Why is it so rainy here, huh, Jiji? That's because it is the village hidden in the rain, Naruto-kun. It said that the land weeps all day long here. That's so sad, the land shouldn't cry for no reason. How do we make it better? Smiling, the elder said, sorry, little one, there is no stopping it here. Determination in his eyes, the boy said, then, I'm gonna work extra hard in my shinobi training to one day become a powerful ninja and make the land stop its crying. Promise. With an amused smirk, Sarutobi replied, well, that's a very nice thing to do, Naruto. Maybe then, we can have a better treaty than what it is I have to come and make. Minutes of quiet riding led to the carriage's stop as a shinobi with spiked silver hair appeared in the window saying, don't worry Hokage-sama, we're at the gate right now. Good, carry on. Hi. A little time later, and they were moving again. As they entered the city, the child gazed out through his window to see large structures with what looked to be spiked roofs. Children ran in the streets playing games, and dogs and other stray animals were seen hanging around near the trash. As they rode on, they passed an arena filled with people watching as two warriors fought against each other. Naruto was wide-eyed in amazement as he watched water fly and lightning arc from the attacks the two were sending out. Cool. Jiji, I think there are ninja fighting, can we go watch? I want to go see the fight. Laughing, the old Kage replied, haha. All in good time, Naruto-kun. We'll go see the fight after my meeting is complete, okay? Smiling, the boy yelled out, yay. Arigato Jiji. You're welcome. The transportation stopped moving once again as a shinobi came and opened the door to let the two passengers out. Looking around, Naruto watched as the fire shadow shook hands with several individuals, not a one looking his way. Until a man with blonde hair and a scar, a breathing mask, a grey flak jacket and cloak said, well, what do we have here, Sarutobi? A little guest taking a trip to a new country, Smiling, the old man answered, exactly, he's just taking a trip here to see some other lands. Turning to the boy, he spoke, Naruto, this is Hanzo the Salamander. A legendary shinobi of the Second Great Shinobi War, he's as famous as I am if not more so. Staring, the boy said, really? He's a legendary ninja too. Awesome. Laughing, the old shinobi looked down saying, tell you what, why don't I take the boy here out of your hair so as to quickly deal with these negotiations. Gazing warily towards his old ally, he says, Naruto, be careful. Hanzo, look after the boy for me. Will do. As the three separated ways, Hanzo asked, so, little one, what would you like to do? He was surprised when then the child yelled, see the shinobi fights. His answer came out as, very well. After several minutes of walking, the salamander had gotten to know his fellow blonde quite well. He knew about the boy's childhood, his friends, and even his desire to be a powerful enough shinobi to make the land stop its crying. He was awed by the boy's strong will and determination, so much so that he suddenly spoke out saying, Naruto, if I offered to help you, would you do me a favor? The child replied, of course. Whatever you'd need, I'd help Hanzo-ji. Smiling, the elder blonde said, good, my wish is for you to fight me when you're strong enough. Call it training if you will. Taking a pondering look, the boy answered with a nod of his head and a giant smile on his face, sure Hanzo-ji. Good, then stay here for a while and watch the two shinobi fight. It'll be a good one. After dividing his security force in half, Hanzo left Naruto to watch the duels and socialize with his guards. An hour later. Hanzo came back to see the boy actually taking part of the action, yelling and cheering for certain shinobi. Smiling, the war vet called out to the child, Naruto. Come here with your hands out and close your eyes. Following the instructions, the boy ended up feeling a weight in his hands, you can open your eyes now. Doing so, the boy gasped as he was holding a scroll. What is it? A ninjutsu scroll. I want you to put it inside your shirt and not tell anybody about it till you've mastered at least one of the jutsu on it and made copies of each jutsu and what it can do. Understand? Hi. But boy, now, Ikuze come. Your ride awaits us. Meeting with the Hokage later, the child ended up riding back home with Hanzo thinking, that boy has the potential to change the face of this world, I can't wait to see what it's like to fight that kind of power. Grow strong, Naruto, as strong as you possibly can. Fin. Ch.2. A child's risky gamble. 2 months later. In the light of the crescent moon, a figure raced through the forest treetops, carrying a bundle inside a sack on his back. His gear was all black with grey portions of armor in various parts, yet the most distinguishing feature about him aside from his bright magenta eyes and wild sea green hair was his headband bearing the mark of Kumagakure. The village hidden in the clouds. Pushing himself at top speed, the shinobi found himself out in a clearing, but what halted him in his tracks was the sight before him. A boy with blonde hair and oceanic blue eyes stood in his path, arms crossed, and with a suspicious glare in his eye as he asked, "Oi, now what's a stranger like you doing out here so late?" Scoffing, the Kumo-nin replied, "I could ask you the same question of you Gaki. Training. Your excuse. I'm going home." Then, without warning, the bright-eyed shinobi tossed a kunai at the boy. Reacting, the child jumped to the side, catching the projectile as his eyes narrowed darkly, and he yelled out, "What the heck? You could have killed me." Chuckling, his opponent said, "You're pretty good Gaki. What's your name? Aren't you supposed to give your name first if you wanna ask for that?" Why yes I am. Who'da thunk it, I got a polite ninja in training before me. Well, the name's Dorbu Masato, kid. You? Uzumaki Naruto. Smirking, me said, "Tell you what Naruto, if come with me, I'll make sure that Kumagakure makes you into a great shinobi." Pondering it for a moment, Naruto asks, "What's in the sack?" "A souvenir from Konoha, you comin' or not?" Smiling, the blonde nodded. "Alright then, follow me." Turning, the shinobi went to take off, yet before he could take one step for the tree line, he heard the whistle of a kunai. Dropping his burden, he dove out of the way of said projectile, but it punctured a hole in his bag so that when it landed the forearm and hand of a child could be seen. Kidnapping, wow, so that's how Kumo operates, huh? Damn it Gaki. Now, I've gotta kill you. Vanishing in a blur of static, Naruto was left searching for the attacking nin with his mind in overdrive. Front. Nope. Sides. Nope. Above. Nah. That leaves. Naruto jumped to his left to avoid a potentially fatal jutsu, just as a spear of lightning pierced where he was only seconds ago. Holy crap. What was that? Raiten Raibo no Jutsu. Appearing next to the staff, the Kumo-nin took hold of it and spun it around in a flurry of movement as he spoke. "Well, you got good instincts and a fast reaction time. You might just be shinobi material Gaki. Okay, you know any jutsu?" Receiving a nod from the child, he said, "Then, I'll make you a deal. I'll let you use one against me. If it works, I'll let you live and let you keep the girl. How's that soundin', Thinking for a bit, Naruto asks, "Wait. What's in it for you should it not work?" A twisted smile came across Dorbu's features as he shifted his staff. "I thought that was pretty obvious kid. I get your life and the girls." Frowning, Naruto conceded to the challenge. "Looks like I've got no other choice than to use that against him." Gathering his chakra and spreading it through his body, the blonde suddenly dashed for the girl as he made hand signs. Cursing aloud, me ran after the blonde thinking, no, I know those hand signs. There's no way that Gaki has the chakra for that technique. Ino, Inu, Tori, Seru, Ohitsuji. Upon reaching the girl, he grabbed her with one hand as he called out Kuchius no Jutsu. Right before Dorbu could reach him, the two children disappeared in an explosion of smoke. Arg. Damn it. That little brat. After several moments to breathe and calm down, the shinobi took off, hopping through the tree line after a while chuckling with the thought, "Who'd have thought that a child that small possesses such a high amount of chakra for a summon. Well, he beat me. I didn't see that coming at all." He never got the chance to complete his thought as he was suddenly hit in the stomach by a Hyuga Juken palm, killing him instantly. His killer landed a little ways from his body as he breathed out in a tone of bloody rage, "Eru, if you did anything to my daughter, I swear, this will have been a much easier fate for you." Ch.3. Gifts of the Goddess. Where am I? Images began flashing through her mind like still photos in a film projector, rushing to fill in the gaps. Being home. The ambassador from Kumo. The kidnapping. The battle for her safety. Naruto. Ah, you're up. You mind telling me your name? H. Hinata. Hi Uga, Hinata. Why you Naruto? That I am, nice to meet ya, Hinata. You can open your eyes, it's a bit dark, but it's okay to look. Doing so earned her a blush that could have beaten an apple as she came face to face with her rescuer. Sun-kissed tan skin, whiskered cheeks, golden blonde hair, and… Staring, she got lost in the oceanic blue orbs of the boy before her. She didn't even notice the first time he spoke until, "Oi, you're staring." Flushing red again, she apologized. "G. Gomen. You were saying something." Shaking his head, he said, "Yeah, that even though I don't know where we are exactly, I know that the summoning is bound to end us up in another dimension of some kind." "Oh, okay then. That doesn't seem too bad. That's the Justu you used to save me, right?" "Hi. Domo arigato, Naruto, for saving me." "Don't mention it, I was just in the clearing you came into training at the time. Speaking of which, what caused you to get captured in the first place?" I thought your family were all these really awesome jutsu users. Hinata's mood instantly flipped 180 as she exclaimed, I was defeated. I was drugged first, otherwise, I'd have beaten him. Or ran. Why you? I would've. Heck, back there I almost did. She paused nays. He was far stronger than I am, the only reason we even got away was because of the summon technique, and I'm not so sure that I even mastered that given our current state of affairs. Still, you did an amazing thing, Naruto-kun. Being able to use jutsu in the first place is an amazing feat for one of our age. I'm learning my family's Gyuukin techniques, but I want to be able to use other things, you know, surprise my enemies and all that. That's why I can't wait to start the academy soon. I'll learn everything that I need to become an outstanding legendary kunoichi and then protect all those precious to me. Naruto smiled as he made his own proclamation, I want to become strong enough to protect my friends. I want to be able to make the whole elemental nations recognize me as a great shinobi, and then I want to be able to keep my promises, no matter what they are. So, I guess I'll be seeing you in the academy, Hinata-chan. Hi, Naruto-kun. That said, they found themselves standing before two giant stone doors. Both held an orb in the center of it, one, a fiery range going from a raging scarlet to a dark black hue. The other entrance held a wider range of colors, extending from a calm oceanic blue to a brilliant white display. As the two stood in admiration of the passageway before them, a heavy ancient voice called aloud, two souls enter, so shall they be tested. Choose your path, bind your soul, and let your heart relay your conviction and resolve. After biting small cuts into their hands, they walked forward and swiped their blood along the door's surface. Locking eyes, both nodded, the thought shared wordlessly, good luck, stay safe. Picking the doors already before them, Naruto chose the red door and Hinata had chosen the opposite blue one. Once they passed through the thresholds, the doors began to close slowly before vanishing out of existence within the darkness. Hinata walked through the corridor unafraid. The orb that had been present on the door now served to be her source of illumination as it flew ahead of her, bathing the path in a sky blue aura. She traveled down until she came to an end, again, the went on ahead of her. Only to reveal that she was at the entrance of a vast cavern. This place is amazing. The orb flew from the center of the room to completely above her, showered the entire area in an azure light. The brunette gasped when she heard a soft female's voice say, I'm glad that you like it here. Searching around, the girl found the speaker in a most astounding position, rising out the apparent nothingness of the cave without even a ripple or sound. Who are you? Smiling, the woman said, be at ease, Hyuga Hinata, I am a friend. My name is Kurakami, deity of the rain and snow. The girl gazed in awe at the goddess. Soft, violet eyes, a small nose hanging over full lips with purple-colored lipstick and a smooth face framed by icy blue hair. On her forehead was a fuchsia-colored hexagonal gem that gleamed with a vibrant ethereal beauty. Her attire was interesting, as she wore a mid-thigh-length white kimono with a royal blue lining that displayed her tall, hergless figure. Blue, open-toed sandals with heels and white fingerless gloves with a kanji for winter etched into metal plates on the backsides of her soft-looking clawed hands. To finish the look, she had several blue-shaded ribbons crisscrossing around her waist like loose belts. The shy girl asked Ito not to sound suspicious, but how do you know my name, and how is it that I'm able to communicate with you? The deity giggled a bit before answering, simple, you signed my contract, just your friend did, my fellow goddess. This binds us in such a way that information and energy can be shared freely between us without needing the ability to speak. However, that is only after you complete my test. After receiving a pulse thought from the goddess, the girl nodded in understanding before saying, I'm ready. What is the task you will give to me? The blonde strolled down the hall warily, he moved slowly so as to read whatever texts were on the walls. The orb from his entryway had illuminated the hall with an garden rose-colored light, but also stayed by his side as he read up until he too had reached an end. Nice, this is one giant area. He saw the light ahead of him form into a yin-yang of garden rose actual color and black red lightning color. As the black side ascended above him to the top of the cavern, its spectrum color changed, illuminating the whole area in a bloody red aura. Why, thank you, dear child. Gazing around, he saw a woman slowly arising from out of nothing as flames flicked about her position. Who are you? The woman gained a warm look about her features as she said, you do not have to be wary, Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto, for I am your ally. I am Amaterasu, goddess of the sun. Blinking, Naruto asked, why did you call me Namikaze, and why does that name sound so familiar? The newly introduced goddess gained a sorrowful look in her eyes as she said, I see, they did not tell you of your amazing lineage. Then, allow me to take that right and explain the mysteries of your past. Spoiler alert. Parts of Naruto's past are discussed. If you don't want to know, skip to the next part now. So you're telling me that my father was the Yondaime, Minato Namikaze, and that he's the reason I have this thing inside me that's got the village so hateful of my very existence. Thanks Pop, way to screw me from the afterlife. Naruto. Don't be that way. Your father sacrificed his life to save you, his lineage, as well as his people. That alone was enough, but he turned the power of the Kyuubi no Yoko into a device for your use, to use as you see fit. He was a great man and an even more noteworthy father. Do you understand? After some thought, the blonde responded with a sigh. I guess, I mean I understand it fully, but I feel like with the way this village treats me, it seems like it was all for naught. If this village had done something abnormally violent, I could have died or worse, the Kyuubi could have taken over had they ruined the seal and killed everyone. Exactly, which is why I will aid you from now on. You will need to face the Kyuubi itself one day, for ultimate control, however you have many allies little one. In both your world and mine. Thinking, the blonde spoke aloud to ask, speaking of which, not be rude, but why are you helping me? Smiling, she went on to say because, you are the holder of my contract dear boy. I could not leave you to fend for yourself when you are in need of my guidance besides, you're too adorable to leave alone. Blushing, the blonde muttered out thank you, Amaterasu Haim. Your help is definitely needed. Getting a good look at the goddess, Naruto was amazed by what he saw. She had glowing topaz-colored eyes, a delicate yet angelic face, soft pink lips, and all framed by raven black hair with purple streaks shrouded. She had smooth ivory skin covered by a crimson silk furosode with a flaming white wolf's paw on the front, yet the entire back was covered by a diagonally embroidered white, silver, and flame-like design of a lunging wolf with its tail pointed out. The top was slightly open so as to reveal a bit of cleavage, and overall, it was an extraordinary look that had Naruto without words in admiration. She winked as she said teasingly anything you like Naruto-kun. Patching himself, he roughly shook his head and said with a coffeedo high demo. Laughing lightly, the woman held out her hand come please, Naruto, your test awaits. Ch.4. Let the test commence. Simultaneously, Naruto and Hinata stepped towards their individual goddess. They were surprised to walk on flames water respectively, but looking again, they were even more surprised to see each other, as if they were peering through glass. Sugoi cool. Both looked and approached their goddess after a second of calming down upon seeing the other unharmed. Once before them, they knelt down, speaking I, Naruto Hinata, invoke the trial of my goddess. With a gleam in their eye, Okami and Amaterasu said in a powerful voice very well, your test is complete. Both children started nani what? In between laughs, the two answered, you, haha, past when, haha, you walked over, hahaha, your face haha, is so hahaha, hilarious. The duo shouted that wasn't funny. I was serious. Suddenly, all humor was drawn from them as they said in all seriousness okay then, shall I inform you of your real test? Hi. You do know that, should you fail, you'll die. Receiving nods from both, the Megami Ne goddesses said harshly, you are to take control of your initial element. Should you not be able to do so, it will take of you and destroy you. Do you feel ready now? Without fear or pause, both children yelled out a quick hi. And left the goddesses to say then, let the testing commence. Suddenly, water began to envelop Hinata in an enormous fear, she quickly took a breath of air and held it so as to not drown. Outside, she appeared calm, yet inside, her mind was racing how do I control water? There's no way to do that. But Naruto. Flames surrounded the boy in a spiraling circle before erupting into a gigantic tornado of fire. Closing his eyes and mouth to shield from blindness or suffocation, the boy sat down so as to make himself as small as possible while trying to avoid the searing heat of the firestorm around him. What in Kami's name? How do I control fire? It's not like I can blow it all out. Besides, I can't. See. Huh? After thinking about it for a bit, Naruto smirked oh. To control the element, you've gotta be able to face your fear of it. So, if I'm gonna get out of this, I gotta open my eyes. After a pause, Naruto did just that. Hinata. Erg. What do I do? I'm running out of air. Byakugan. Veins bulged around her eyes as she activated her familial Dojutsu. Looking behind herself into the face of her proctor, she saw her mouth move a bit before curling into a smile. Breathe. That's it. Conquer the fear to conquer the element. Alright. Deactivating her eyes and inhaling. She found that she could, in fact, breathe well, this is new. As the elements receded, somehow, Hinata and Naruto ended up next to one another sitting before the goddesses. Now that you've completed your tests, we can give you your contracts. I will say, you two have quite a bit to go over. The two orbs from earlier came DOWN or up to float before its individual master. Before Naruto was the red sphere, as Hinata sat near the blue. Taking a hold of them. Both children saw flashes of information. Their element. A series of foreign martial arts forms in kata. Jutsu, and other skills. Then, lastly a seal. As this occurred, two very different seals formed upon the bottom of their forearms as three dragon heads crossing one another formed on Hinata and a phoenix appeared on Naruto's. Akami spoke saying your gifts are the ability to create control and manipulate any elemental derivative of flame or water. The kata of our elements, two powerful techniques from our guardians, as well as our summoning contracts. Amaterasu then said now, well you won't be able to summon us directly, you will receive our blessing and the next best thing. Naruto, you shall receive my Yasukani no Magatama the jewel of Amaterasu, and I shall leave its abilities up to you to figure out. Hirakami then said to Hinata you, my dear, shall receive the necklace of my sister Toyotama. Its properties, you too, shall unlock on your own. Then turning towards both she told them you two will have to train hard to fully harness the level of mastery required for all these things. Yet, we are certain that you two will go quite far with these talents. So, be off, you shall return when the time comes. Hi. The two children departed, vanishing back into the real world with the skill of a ghost. Once they were gone, Akami turned to Amaterasu. Are you certain it was wise to the boy of his lineage? His father will not be happy to learn that after 12 years he still knew nothing. She replied offhandedly of course, he will inherit much that was owed him, and that fool Sarutobi shall not hold the truth from him any longer. Gazing at her elder god, she questioned is this because of his father, or your anger towards that sad village? Both. IQs, I must inform the others of our bonds. Hi. That said, both faded out of reality as they had come, sinking into the apparent nothingness. Ch.5. Moving on up. With Naruto and Hinata. The two found themselves back in the forest in a flash of flame and water. So, what should we do? Naruto spoke saying we've got to go talk to Jiji, there are things we need to discuss. Looking his way, Hinata was astonished by the serious look on his face. Why is he so serious, what did he and Amaterasu Amakami talk about? Decidedly, upon opting to see the Hokage, a squad of Anbu appeared on the scene. Uzumaki Naruto, Hyuga Hinata, we have come with orders to bring you to the Hokage at once. Sugoi, let's go Hinata-chan. The girl was amazed at her friend's reaction to this mat. Wasn't he just super serious about seeing the Hokage a second ago? Why the sudden change? Realization hit her as she thought, could it be the Jonin that are here inspired this? Is this an act? Walking in between the Anbu, they were shined directly into his office. There they saw the old man in his high back chair, lighting up his pipe with a Kaiten jutsu. As they appeared, he seemed to visibly relax, his shoulders falling a bit as he did so. Lord Kage, Uzumaki Naruto and Hyuga Hinata, as you requested. Thank you. Naruto-kun, Hinata, it's wonderful to see you both again alive and well. What happened, how did you escape the Kumo shinobi, and where were you for this to have happened? Hinata spoke first saying I was in the Hyuga estate when I was drugged and captured. I don't remember much except for sounds here and there, I do know that Naruto-kun was the one that saved me though. Surprised, one shinobi asked if you were drugged, how do you know he saved you? Almost immediately, she replied because during one moment I was awake, I heard the ambassador asking his name. Then, the fact that he stayed with me from then on till now also shows that. Nodding, Sarutobi said that is rather impressive. However, how did you get away? The shinobi was of Jonin rank, and he was found and killed by your father without either of you present. That caught the two off guard, as their surprise was emanating off of their faces. Naruto, recovering first, thought aloud so, that's why he wasn't there when we got back. The Hokage and others present, hearing this, all turned his way as he continued on to answer the elder's question. Might as well tell you the whole thing while I'm at it, I was out in the forest practicing my kunai aim and ninjutsu when the guy showed up. He paused when the old man held up a hand and asked sorry to interrupt, but since when have you been practicing ninjutsu? In particular, without a. He paused as the blonde pulled out a scroll and said this answer your question. I got it when we were in AIM, I was instructed not to tell you before I had learned at least one jutsu off of it. So, you telling me now means that you did? Yep, I learned one so far. Then why haven't you told me about the scroll till now? Because I learned the jutsu tonight and I was told by Hanzo Jai not to show you or talk to you about it till after I got one down. I know the name of the jutsu you learned then. Kuchiyus no jutsu. Sarutobi had a coughing fit at that as he inhaled a large amount of smoke saying you cough, learned about the cough ug cough Kuchiyus no jutsu. With a nod and a smile the boy said yep. Dorobu gave the opportunity to use one jutsu against him, he said that if it worked, he'd let me and Hinata go free. So, I used that jutsu when I made a run for her to get us out of there when I remembered it being a teleportation technique. One of the Anbu behind him said there's no way that a child, no older than 5. I'm 8, you bonehead. 8 could have possibly done a jutsu that even some jonin can't do, and without a contract. It's just not possible, even if he is getting a hard glare from his superior, he corrected his thought only a child with high reserves. The Hokage nodded his head, exhaling his smoke, he said that is rather simple, seeing as how Jiraiya did that exact same thing in order to gain his toad contract. Naruto-kun, do you know what creature you bonded with? Getting a nod, the cage asked, can you demonstrate a summon for us then? Of course. Turning his wrist over, the blonde revealed a tattoo of a phoenix elaborated on his skin in a tribal form which drew enough attention that by the time he went for a kunai, the Hokage stopped him by saying, Naruto. It's alright, the fact that that tattoo is present is enough to verify your story. Could you tell me what kind of test the creature gave you? That, I'd rather talk to you in private about Gigi. Gazing at the group before him, Sarutobi said alright, then, Anbu. Hi. Please escort Hinata and ensure that she returns home safely. Hi. Dispersing, the Anbu vanished with Hinata into wisps of smoke and when they left the cage began so, feel free to share your ordeal Naruto-kun. Actually, Gigi, I've got serious things to talk to you about. Curious, he asked, like what? Like why you lied to me about my parents. Breaking out into a coughing fit, Hiruzen turned wide-eyed to the boy as he asked who told you. Me. Both paused as flames seemed to burst from the middle of the room and from within them, the goddess appeared. Surprised at her sudden appearance, both spoke at the same time. Amaterasu Haim. What are you doing here? As Sarutobi began looking at Naruto in regards to the title he gave her, Amaterasu spoke. Leave the boy be, Hiruzen. I was the one who informed him of his cage heritage, you, however, have made a grave error in withholding that information from him. Though it was for his protection, you did nothing but hinder him from his power. That, you will be rectifying tonight, or else you will be paying for the sins of this village, along with all the rest of those pitiful villagers in the afterlife. Swallowing hard, the old man cracked. He was known and revered as the god of shinobi by many, even feared by them, yet even he was still a man. A man terrified of risking the wrath of the goddess before him, so, he complied by tossing Naruto the keys to his family's home and telling the boy that he will have his things moved to the estate within the week. This action seemed to satisfy the goddess as she then promptly vanished in a swirl of flames. Sweating slightly and looking exhausted, the old cage asked Naruto, how in the world did you meet Amaterasu Amakami? With a fox-like grin on his face as he exited the room, Naruto answered, simple. When I summoned, I was sent to her. Kanbanwa, Gigi. Paling, the old man thought, does that mean he's actually been to heaven? No, that's just not possible. Yet, the goddess just appeared before me. Vouching for him. Leaning back into his chair, the Hokage sighed, ugh, I'm getting way too for this. Last time on Naruto Sage of Amaterasu. Sarutobi had a coughing fit at that as he inhaled a large amount of smoke saying you cough, learned about the cough ug cough kuchius no jutsu and used it. With a nod and a smile the boy said yep. Dorobu gave the opportunity to use one jutsu against him, he said that if it worked, he'd let me and Hinata go free. So, I used that jutsu when I made a run for her to get us out of there when I remembered it being a teleportation technique. Turning his wrist over, the blonde revealed a tattoo of a phoenix elaborated on his skin in a tribal form which drew enough attention that by the time he went for a kunai, the Hokage stopped him by saying, Naruto. It's alright, the fact that that tattoo is present is enough to verify your story. Could you tell me what kind of test the creature gave you? Actually, Gigi, I've got serious things to talk to you about. Curious, he asked, like what? Like why you lied to me about my parents. Both paused as flames seemed to burst from the middle of the room and from within them, the goddess Amaterasu appeared. Hiruzen. I was the one who informed him of his cage heritage, you, however, have made a grave error in withholding that information from him. Though it was for his protection, you did nothing but hinder him from his power. That, you will be rectifying tonight, or else you will be paying for the sins of this village, along with all the rest of those pitiful villagers in the afterlife. Naruto, how in the world did you meet Amaterasu Mikami? With a fox-like grin on his face as he exited the room, Naruto answered, simple. When I summoned, I was sent to her. Kanbanwa, Gigi. Ch.6. Verification. As Naruto walked out of the Hokage's office, his mind was nothing but a blur. I can't believe that. Amaterasu totally scared the heck out of Gigi and she was the one who told me to forgive him. And, how did she get there? That teleportation technique was awesome, I've really gotta learn how to do that. Exiting the building and going a ways, Naruto shouted, oh, man. I forgot to get a map to estate. Why would you need to worry about going to the estates? Naruto jumped as he turned to see an Anbu shinobi standing off to his left, hidden under the shade of the trees. Replying, he said, I'm on my way. Why am I even telling you? Why are you here? Because you have someone who is quite interested in hearing what happened to you and Hinata in the forest. Okay, do they live out near the noble estates? Hi. Fine. Let's go. Walking towards him, the Anbu revealed himself in the light of the evening to have had his eyes closed and as he opened his eyes Naruto thought, so Hyuga member, this is gonna be fun. Grasping a hold of the boy, the shinobi vanished with the blonde in tow. Elsewhere. Naruto and the Anbu appeared in front of the Hyuga estate and walking forward, they passed by the guards to enter into an open area with plants and a pond. Wow, looks like something out of a Zatoichi flick. When the Anbu looked at him, he responded, what? Never seen the blind samurai movies. Poor guy. As they continued on, they saw multiple areas of space. Some hosting fights, some with those practicing kata forms, and others having nothing but space present. The Anbu led Naruto to turn a corner, but as he went to follow, he bumped into a little girl. Oi. Watch where you're going. Gomen, I'm sorry. It was an accident. Looking up, the girl said, who are you? What are you doing inside the Hyuga clan home? If you're here for my sister or me, I won't allow you anywhere near her, blondie. The Anbu, having noticed the skirmish and allowed it to continue, then said, actually, Hanabi, he is here for that. He's the one who saved her. Looking unimpressed, she retorted, ha. This gaki. He doesn't look but a bit older than me. No way he did it. Naruto, irritated with being talked about as if invisible, said, oi, I can hear you. And, just so you know, I did actually save her. Honichi. Why you? Interrupting, the Anbu said, Hanabi, he is a guest to the family. Please, be mindful of your manners and show more respect. Grumbling about something under her breath, she responded, hi arigato. Naruto, Uzumaki Naruto. Arigato Uzumaki-san, for saving my sister. You're quite welcome, Honichi. Naruto followed the Anbu as he walked away, leaving Hanabi to steam at the jab to her height. As they went on, the Anbu said, Uzumaki-san. You shouldn't provoke her so, it doesn't do well to make an enemy of little Hanabi, she tends to be quite vengeful. The blonde then replied, I'm just teasing her, she'll forget me in a couple of days and then move on, I know I will. Shaking his head, the Anbu responded, we will see. Now, I will advise you to be on your best behavior in front of these people. Here we are. Walking up to a large double sliding door, the Anbu opened it to say, Uzumaki Naruto, present Lord Hiashi. Listening, Naruto heard a calm male's voice say, enter. Doing just that, Naruto walked into the room and was met with a few men sitting in a U on the floor and Hinata sitting in the middle of them with an empty floor pillow next to her. Walking over, Naruto took the spot next to Hinata and looked at the girl. Doing so, he noticed her eyes were glued to the floor and that she seemed a bit red. Looking towards the man before him, he thought, is this her father? She seems really nervous right now. What happened to that happy, intense girl from our travel to the summons world? I wonder. Uzumaki-san. We are here to discuss the events of earlier this evening, I would like to hear from your own mouth what happened. Hyuga-san, anything that Hinata-chan told you is most likely true. I am sure it is, however, I would like to hear it from your side so as to hear the whole truth. He doesn't trust her. I can see why she's so nervous, feels like this guy's stabbing me with a kunai. I understand. He then went on to detail every aspect of what happened, including meeting the goddesses, which surprised quite a few of those present. Including Hinata and Hiashi though, the latter hit it really well. He then went into explaining what gifts they'd received. When all was said and done, Hiashi looked his typical stoic self, as Naruto learned from watching the man. He then said after a moment of silence, this is quite a bit of news, Uzumaki-san. I appreciate you for taking the time to recount what happened, but I also wanted to thank you for what you did in rescuing my daughter. That said, I would like to extend to you the opportunity of becoming an honorary Hyuga. Naruto and the others present were shocked by the man's statement as he continued to say, this entitles you to free entry into the Hyuga estate anytime, your own Hyuga clan attire, and a chance to study the Jaiken under one of our own. If you accept, you would be doing this clan a great honor, seeing as we've never really had any honorary members before. The blonde was outdone to say the least, as it took him a couple of seconds to form his composure enough to say thank you, Hiashi-san for the generous offer, however, I believe that this matter is in Hinata-chan's hands. Said girl turned to look at him as he said, if she wishes for me to become a part of this clan, then, I will gladly accept. Gazing at the blonde, she then said yes, Naruto-kun. I also extend to you the offer to be a part of this clan. Then, hi. I accept. Hiashi then did something extremely uncharacteristic of himself, he smiled. Welcome to the clan, Uzumaki Hyuga Naruto. Naruto smiled before becoming serious a bit later, saying then, as a member of this clan, I believe I have something to share. Catching the attention of the Hyugas around him, one elder asked, what is wrong, child? This is to be a secret to those outside this clan, but being a member I feel that I can trust you all with this. Hiashi, sensing this to be something serious, asked, and what would that be? Namikaze. Brow furrowing, the Hyuga head said, NANI what? My name? My full name is Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. Though, I guess now it's Namikaze Uzumaki Hyuga Naruto. Ch.7 Beginning of Shinobi. Those that hadn't had their jaws hit the floor were wearing a countenance of complete shock and amazement. The blonde who had incited this unusual display was sitting in a seiza position while scratching his head with a nervous laugh. Hehe, so, Ito, now you know. One elder, a Hyuga with a grey streak in his ebony black hair, exclaimed, how can this be? There are no records of such to support this claim, are there? Replying, the blonde said actually, there is. Gigi gave me the keys to the place and access to a few of the funds, the only thing he didn't give me was a map so I could find the place. Hiashi then nodded as he said Naruto, I worked with your father for many years. I knew of your connection. Everyone was taken aback at the statement as Naruto asked then, why? Those of us that knew of your lineage were forbidden from discussing it without your prior knowledge. It was a law established by the Sandaime himself. I see. Then, why did no one do anything to help get me out of the orphanage or? Again, we were prevented from doing so by the Hokage so as to prevent favoritism of a clan over the love of the entire village. This too was made law. Lowering his head, the Bon thought so, Gigi did all of this to keep my own heritage from me? Why? It doesn't make any sense at all. I need to talk to Amaterasu Haim about this. Upon raising his head, he placed a smile on and said oh well, can't fix the past right, all that matters now is that I know who my parents are and I have what I need to move forward. Hinata, who had been watching the entire time, thought that's it. That's the face he makes whenever he's hiding something. I've seen that look before, her own mind flashing back to separate occasions where she'd seen the mask put up for display. Come to think of it, he's used that face a lot since I've met him and it's only been one night. He's a lot like me, hiding his feelings behind a mask. I guess we are a lot alike. Standing up, Hiashi and the elders began filing out of the room as Hiashi said now, if you can wait here with Hinata for a bit, I'll have a tailor come by and get you fitted for your outfit. Also, I'll send someone to escort you around the premise and then home whenever you are ready to leave. If you want, we can even start giving you your Jaiken tutoring this evening before you go. Nodding in acknowledgement, Naruto responded, thank you Hiashi-sama, for everything. I would like to participate in the events that you have planned, also, would it be alright if I did them with Hinata-chan? With a small smile, the head of the clan answered, of course not. You may use her as your guide through the Hyuga manor, as well as your Jaiken partner, and your escort will just be another of the Hyuga clan. Smiling, the blonde said arigato. Minutes after the elders had left, Naruto and Hinata were sitting together, just discussing things. So, your father was the Yondaime. That's amazing. Yeah, once I get over the whole sealing a demon thing, it's not so bad. I do however, wonder what happened to my mother. Gigi said that there wasn't a body and I'd hate to think some pervert found her. Hinata grimaced as she thought about it as well, while saying Naru-kun, I'm sure that it'll all be cleared up as we continue with our lives. Maybe she's still alive out there somewhere. Yeah, but if she was, why didn't she take me with her? Was she too afraid of the Kyuubi taking a hold of me? I mean, all these lies and omissions were just about my parents. What if Gigi knows a lot more than he's letting me in on? Looking sad, the Hyuga era said, if that comes to be the case you can always come to me Naru-kun. Always. Looking towards his friend, he smiled a little as he responded, thanks, Hina-Haim. A lot. Welcome. Their conversation ended abruptly as the doors to the building were thrown open by a woman with straight midnight-colored hair. Her eyes were white with a tinge of green in them and she wore a slightly altered Hyuga outfit than the norm. Hers was a creme-colored kimono top with a black happy jacket over the top of it with designs of a butterfly imprinted throughout it. As she came upon Naruto, her eyes lit up with something akin to pure joy. Well. Hello there little boy. I'm Hyuga Iyu and I'll be your honorary clothing designer. The two looked at each other as the woman came closer and asked him to stand up. Obeying, he did just that and had his clothes vanish off of him. In shock, the blonde yelled, "Oi. What the hell are you doing, lady?" As Hinata blushed a brilliant shade of red and promptly fainted. The woman looked on saying, "You're pretty well developed for a child. I guess we'll have to make the pants size a bit bigger than I thought." That said, she went through several seals before calling out Pinhasu no Jutsu Pin Lotus technique. Right before Naruto's eyes, dozens of fabrics bound themselves together and formed over his body. It turned out to be a form-fitting, half-black and half-white sleeveless silk kimono top with a pair of black Anbu-styled pants. Walking around him and inspecting her work, she sighed as she stepped back, wiping tears from her eyes. That may have been my best time ever. And it looks so good on you too. Confused by her actions after looking himself over, he said, "Thank you so much Miss Iyu. This looks really amazing and I like how it fits me. But what did you do to my old clothes?" She responded quickly with that hideous thing. "I disintegrated its disgusting fabric the moment I laid my eyes on you. You should be thanking me." "Oh man. Now what am I gonna wear outside of this? That was the only clothing I had and you just destroyed it." "Excuse me? Only? Oh no, we're going to be here for a while kiddo. Take those off, don't worry about the girl. If she sees you in your childish glory, she'll just pass out again. I did it on purpose, don't worry about it." Forcibly removing the boy's clothing, after much struggle. She proceeded to make a variety of outfits for him to suit just about every occasion, so much so that she left twice to get more cloth for him. Hinata, ironically, woke up on both times she was gone. Seeing Naruto naked 2 more times and passing out with a furious blush on her cheeks and a bit of blood running from her nose. Seeing this made the poor blonde all the worried about his female friend. Hours later. Naruto left the Hyuga Manor with a scroll full of clothing items that could have rivaled Jiraiya's in sheer size alone. He skipped training for the evening, partially due to his fear over his friend's physical condition after see how much blood she lost. The Anbu member from earlier was the one to escort him to his new home, and as they walked, Naruto began talking to him. He found out that his name was Hyuga Sujitsu and that his skills pertained to interrogation and torture, as his skill with chakra control was to the point where he could cut all chakra circulation after hitting a few points and completely cause someone to lose usage in the area he affected. That's so cool. Can you teach me how to do that? I haven't ever taken on pupils before and with my style of the Jaiken, I don't know whether or not you could do it without the Byakugan evil eye or wide eye. I can teach you the forms and see what we can do about your chakra control, because that's what it's going to take in order to use this particular branch of the Jaiken. Stunned, the boy asked, does it have a name? It does. It's called Ketatama Shiken Piercing Fist. Sugoi. Laughing, Sujitsu said, you are indeed a strange one, Naruto-kun. I'll do it. The what? Make you my apprentice. Yada hooray. As they approached the gate of the Namikaze estate, Naruto walked forward and looked at the giant wooden gate before him. He saw that it had a dragon's head on it with its tongue hanging out, and upon walking to it, the head actually spoke, those of the noble house shall prove their ties. Those not of the house shall seal their fate. Mark your blood as that of the dragon and enter through this holy gate. Naruto then bit his thumb to get it to bleed, only to notice that he healed as soon as the wound was made. Amazed, he tried it again and got the exact same result. So, having Sujitsu poke his thumb with a kunai and keep it there. The wound stayed open long enough for blood to come out and be sufficient for the blood seal that was needed to open the door. As he wiped his blood on the tongue of the dragon, one of its eyes glowed red as the jaw shut. Thinking, Naruto took the key that he had and put it into the eye with an audible click. Turning, he undid the door's locking system, and when he let go of the key, it was absorbed into the eye and allowed the door to open with a loud creak. As the two gazed at the enormous amount of space within the location, it seemed to be its own section of Konoha with all the homes and buildings inside of it. After a moment of silence, Sujitsu said in a low voice, welcome home, Naruto. In an equally quiet voice, the blonde muttered, thanks. Do you need me to come in with you? I think I'll be okay for tonight. Thank you though for the offer. Well then, do you plan to come to the Hyuga Manor tomorrow? Hi. I'll come by tomorrow after I attend the academy, and then if you wanna, we can have practice here. Matt. Why here? I'm sure that you're known for your style, but I don't really want to be seen learning it there. Besides, what would happen if you had another Hyuga steal your style? Or, if you had to fight one in a tournament or something? The Anbu blinked for a second before saying yes, I believe you're right on that. Well, then in that case, I guess we're better off training here. Yep. Oh, by the way, there's another Hyuga I plan to invite here after school tomorrow. She's my training partner and, if it's okay with you, I don't mind, she can come learn here as well. Giving a wide grin, the child said arigato, Sujitsu-sensei. With a warm smile, the Anbu said you're welcome, Naruto-kun. Ch.8 School days. In Konoha's ninja academy, a brown-haired shinobi with a scar across his face and a pineapple hairstyle was doing his class attendance as he quieted down the majority of his loud and rowdy group. Sheesh, I get the most promising class this school's ever had and they're all a bunch of spoiled brats. Alright class. We're gonna start roll call, when I say your name, say here. We're gonna start with Shinji Kawasaki and Jun Gaseki. Here here. Gin Kurahana and Fudo Jinsei. Here here. Two figures raced across the rooftops of the town, headed in the direction of the school, landing in the yard, they ran inside the building with blinding speed. Tiba Inuzuka and Ino Yamanaka. Here said an animalistic-looking boy with a gray jacket on and a puppy in his jacket's opening. Here. Said a blonde-haired girl with a purple outfit with arm warmers and bright sky blue eyes without pupils. Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Chiha. Here, sensei. Replied a pink-haired jade-eyed girl in a red Chinese dress. Here. Said a raven-haired boy with black eyes wearing a blue outfit with arm warmers in a cool, distant tone. At his reply, several girls swooned with hearts in their eyes as they fawned over the boy. Two of these girls being Ino and Sakura. Hinata Hyuga and Naruto Uzumaki Hyuga. The door was slung open as two bodies exploded in a swirl of water and flame. Facing opposite directions and being back to back, the two children that appeared from the swirl of elements replied simultaneously, here sensei. The other students were silent as all this went on. After their response, however, the class went wild with a rampage of comments. That was awesome. S-rank entrance. Some of the girls present in the room said aloud, who's that guy? I know, hey cutie. while others shouted, "Hey, look at the hot eye. Man, she's gorgeous." Some even went so far as to do dog whistles, though this particular one was done by one person in particular. And free cookie if you figure it out. There were a few who were less vocal in the responses they gave. Two boys sitting together spoke amongst each other, one boy with red hair and munching on a bag of chips said nice entrance. And the other, a boy with black hair and a pineapple style similar to the teacher muttered mendokus troublesome. Before laying his head on the desk. There were fewer still, who didn't voice their opinion at all, but rather thought it. A boy with a sea green, high-collar jacket and sunglasses thought to himself those two they are quite strong. Then, Sasuke glanced at the two as they went to their seats and thought they're both strong. Especially that girl, she's got skills, I wonder. Hinata wore a satin light blue kimono top with sleeves and a pair of navy blue hakama pants with a white and green dragon arching across the back and stopping just above her heart. She also had solid blue fingerless gloves on her hands and white Toby socks and a couple of Geta wooden shoes on her feet. Around her neck was a pendant with a Chinese dragon laying horizontally across it, and her blue-black hair came to just a little beyond her shoulders in a bob cut, framing her face and the necklace perfectly. Naruto, on the other hand, wore a silk white high-collar vest with red trimming and a hood worn down that revealed his arms and a pendant, which was a phoenix flying vertically with its wings outstretched. He had a firebird crest on the back of the vest and a solid red pair of hakama pants. He had white fingerless gloves with red edges and short spiky golden blonde hair with bangs that cut a bit over his left eye. In both their ears was an earring on opposite sides. Naruto's was in golden ember and Hinata's was a silver snowflake. They walked and found their seats in the middle aisle, right by Shikamaru and Chaoji, the two boys from earlier. Upon sitting, the teacher said thank you for the performance, remind me to call you next time I need a magic show. Smirking, the blonde boy said sure, we're here all year round. And the girl followed in a sing-song voice but, it's gonna cost you sensei. Laughing at the teacher as he rolled his eyes, he continued on with his roll call and began the lesson. After a few hours of instruction, he dismissed class for recreation and lunch. And why can't Shinobi just call it what it is, recess? Outside, the kids broke off into their own individual sects, however there were a few actually hanging around Naruto and Hinata when the teacher left. One kid asked the two, hey, how did you guys do that awesome flame water thingy? At this they got a few yeahs tossed into it as they put a finger to their mouths and said sorry guys, we're not allowed to tell you until we graduate from the academy. That gained them a unanimous ah, man. As a response. Smiling, the two then got up and went to go outside, yet as they did so Sasuke called out oi, Hyuga. Both turned and answered hi. Uchiha-san. Not you blondie, the girl. Smiling, the blonde looked at the Uchiha as Hinata turned and continued walking. He said next time, do try to remember her name. She won't respond if you don't call her by it. Then, he too exited as an angry Uchiha got up and followed after them, this drawing a crowd not too far behind. Outside. As Naruto and Hinata found a tree to relax at, they heard a voice call out hey. I was talking to you. Recognizing the voice, the both of them simply ignored him and continued to plot themselves at the base the tree right next to the other, as Sasuke got even more upset and said look, just because you two can show off in class, doesn't mean you two can fight or even use jutsu yet. Heh, you two are probably just still trying to get the basics of molding chakra down, aren't you? To his and the crowd's surprise, Hinata spoke up with her eyes closed yeah, we're just getting the hang of chakra. But, you know something, I love the aim, don't you? As if on cue, a cloud appeared and started to rain on Sasuke, as if it were a joke, Naruto said you know something Hinata, I do think it's pretty nice. However, you gotta appreciate the seppuku of summer. With that, a large ember of flame lit on the tip of his forefinger and grew and shrunk accordingly. The crowd laughed at Sasuke as it stopped raining and he was left completely drenched, yet they awed at Naruto having fire on his hand and not burning. Soon after though, the Sasuke fangirls came through to see their love interest soaking wet and furious. Sakura and Ino, being his apparent voice at the time, yelled at the two what's wrong with you? How could you do that to Sasuke-kun? Yet, the two shrugged innocently as Hinata said, what are you two talking about? I didn't see anything happen, did you Naruto-kun? He replied with a smug smile nope. I remember showing Sasuke-kun here that I could actually use chakra, but this giant cloud came and drenched him. It was actually kinda funny. When the bell rang and everybody started to go back inside. Sasuke stood there before the two as his fan club told him come on Sasuke-kun, we'll deal with them later. No. I'll deal with them now. Charging the two as they got up, the dispersing crowd ran back like moths to a just lit flame as some kids were shouting encouragement to the Uchiha. There were, however, those cheering for the Hyugas as they watched their attacker with a lackadaisical patience. The Uchiha ran towards Naruto, yet, when he was close enough he jumped at Hinata at the last second. Catching this, Naruto moved with a speed far beyond Genin and slung Sasuke down by the arm that he went to punch his friend with. This resulted in Sasuke hitting the ground hard with a pop as he had dislocated his shoulder. Arg. The raven-haired boy rolled and got up slowly, clutching his right arm as he stared in shock and rage at the Uzumaki. Naruto gazed at his opponent with a look that could have frozen hell over if it were faced in the general direction. His eyes held an icy hue that trumped Sasuke's anger outright, and slowly, the honorary Hyuga said, listen and listen well, Uchiha, if you ever, and I mean ever, attempt to hurt my friend again, I'll do more than just dislocate your shoulder next time. That caught all the kids back as they had never heard someone threaten another in such a serious manner before. Standing up fully, he walked away saying, come on Hinata, we're late for class. At their lead, the rest of the class dispersed as well, as the Sasuke fan club came to help their idol. He was so in shock at the look he received from Naruto that he actually let the girls help him get to the nurse's office, as he thought such anger in his eyes. I've never seen my own father that angry before. What in the world was that? When the class back in, Iruka saw that a few were missing and asked where's the rest of the class. Recreation time is done. One boy said they're probably out helping Sasuke to the nurse. Alarmed, Iruka asked Nani. What happened? Naruto beat up Sasuke. That is a lie. All eyes turned to Shino as he spoke up. Sasuke was upset at being ignored by Hinata and Naruto and followed them outside. When they were relaxing, he walked to them and haggled them about not being able to mold chakra. After demonstrating their control in various ways, Sasuke got drenched in water and in a fit of rage charged the two. Upon changing his course from Naruto to Hinata, Naruto, in an impressive display of speed, crossed in front of Hinata and grabbed Sasuke out of the air. Sasuke, not having his balance, fell and dislocated his own shoulder. That is what happened. At that, everyone was quiet as Naruto said, thanks Shino. The boy nodded, saying that is merely a statement of the facts as they occurred, sensei. Thank you Shino. Alright, everyone go take your seats. I'll deal with Sasuke later. A little while later. There was a knock on the door as Sasuke entered. The nurse, upon seeing Naruto, gave a foul glare as the young Uchiha took his seat. Iruka, may I have word? Certainly, class, finish reading what's on the board and I'll be right back. Stepping out of the room and closing the door, the class picked up on the talking a bit. Some of the male students haggled the great Uchiha about attacking a helpless girl and getting his butt handed to him. Some of the girls gossiped about what kind of guy tries to fight a girl, whether she pranked him or not. As the Uchiha walked to his seat, he tossed one glance at Hinata and Naruto, the latter looking back with cool indifference. And sat down in his seat as he stared out the window. After a few minutes, Iruka said, Naruto, you've been asked to stay after school in regards to this incident. The class erupted in a cacophony of negative expressions as boos were thrown, hollers were voiced out, and in the window, Sasuke allowed a small smirk to develop on his face as through it all. Naruto just nodded and said, hi sensei. The rest of the day flew by without incident, except for the Uchiha's chair somehow slipping from under him somehow, as there was nothing but a tiny puddle of water in the area of his seat. After school, as the rest of the class headed out, Hinata stayed in the room with Naruto as Iruka said, Hinata, you can leave. Naruto's going to be meeting with the principal. Her answer was, I'm sorry, I can't. I can't go home without him unless you wish for my father to come here and see what's taking his students so long to come to class. Excuse me. Naruto is an honorary member of the Hyuga, as you know, and as such he has to come to the compound for training with me. If I show up and he doesn't, my father will ask me what's wrong. And, personally, I'd rather say I was at school in an after-school meeting with the principal and have them come and explain it to him rather than tell him I don't know. Nodding his head nervously, Iruka said, I get your point, then come on, we'll wait outside as the principal talks with Naruto. The blonde, having been silent since his threat to the Uchiha, simply got up and went with the two. Office. Well, Uzumaki. It has come to my attention that you have had an altercation with the Uchiha, is that correct? Hi. Then, is it true that you also engaged in combat with said Uchiha? Hi. Is it also true, then, that you threatened the Uchiha? No. Excuse me? No, I did not threaten him. Oh? Then what do you call what you told him after you dislocated his shoulder? A promise. A promise. Hi. A promise, nothing more. Then, listen here boy. You may be established as a student of this academy, but should you ever get into an altercation with the Uchiha of any kind, I promise you that I will have you removed. Is that clear? Is that clear? Uzumaki Naruto. Crystal. Good. Now, get out of my office. Obliging, Naruto did, but as he opened the door, he asked, tell me something principal. Did you put Sasuke to the same standards as you just did me? Sneering, the principal said, what? The demon brat wants to complain about standards, here's a standard for you. I shouldn't have even allowed a thing like you into my establishment. If it weren't for the Hokage's recommendation, I'd have tossed you out before the first bell had rung. Oh, and no, I didn't put the Uchiha to the same standards as you're not even in the same classification as him or the other students. So, again, get out of my class before I suspend you from my premises. Obeying, Naruto closed the door as he said you get all that. Sitting silently, Iruka and Hinata were in shock about what exactly they had just heard, their ears still rang with the volume of his shouts. Mutely nodding, the both of them and Naruto walked out of the building and started to separate ways when Iruka turned to the two of them and said Naruto, I'm so sorry. Turning with a smile on his countenance, the blonde responded don't worry about it sensei, I'm just not like everybody else. I understand and accept that. It's not a big deal, really. Turning back and walking away with Hinata at his side, he said see you tomorrow sensei. No. Wait. Running and catching up to them, Iruka said why don't I take you guys to eat at a ramen restaurant nearby, I'll take the heat from Hiyashi. That sound good? With a small smile, both said yeah. Upon getting to the restaurant, there was a sign that said Ichiraku's ramen. Walking inside, the children order one miso and one beef ramen with Iruka ordering a vegetable ramen as well. Humming right up said a beautiful brunette girl named Ayam as she took care of their orders. Minutes later, after having eaten their first bowl, Naruto's whole demeanor changed. Iruka ended paying for over 7 bowls of various ramen, not counting his and Hinata's one maybe two remind me to only buy ramen for you when I've just gotten paid. This single action started a tradition that would last for the next 4 years as the three grew closer to one another. Ch.9 school days end. 4 years later. The sun shone brightly as Naruto sat on the porch of his home near a koi pond full of fish as he polished the edge of a katana. It had a double-edged golden blade, with a pitch-black dragon and phoenix yin-yang tsuba guard, a blood groove near the base of the tsuba for drawing his own blood, and a brass circular tsuka hilt, resembling a small ring where the tsuka typically is, with a white sharkskin handle wrapped in black silk. It had white tassels on its hilt and had a series of kanji written upon the base of the blade. It had a solid black saya, with a trail of red tribal fire, spiraling into a violet phoenix further down it. The same features were on the wakizashi on his right side. He also had another sword laying on the wood flooring next to himself. It had the exact opposite design of the first, and only telling differences. Otherwise it has the same kanji seals on it as Naruto's. In that its segmented reverse blade edge was a near white shade of silver, a double dragon yin-yang on its brass tsuba, and black sharkskin wrapped in white silk. The saya also was snow white and had a sky blue tribal dragon on the length of the scabbard, along with an elegant piece of blue metal that had a ripple-like design etched in it. Admiring the sheer craftsmanship of the blade with a small smile on his face, Naruto thought, finally, it's done. Now, I can't wait to see how Hinata uses it. Today's the day of the genin exam, maybe now I can actually cut loose a bit. Naruto-kun. Phasing towards the edge of his walkway as the brunette said while waving a heyo. The heyo, Hinata-chan. Approaching the blonde, she stood before him glancing at the sword in his hand. So, giving SHITSUNE an oblivion, a cleaning huh. Nodding, the blonde simply said hi. I still don't know why you gave it such a dark name. And, let's hope you never have to find out. Observing the second blade at his side, Hinata gasped at the fine detailing while having a look of absolute fandom on her face. Noticing, the boy thought she hasn't even seen the blade yet and she's already mentally fainting. Haha, this is gonna be good. The girl slowly asked Itonaru-kun. Smirking, the boy said hi. Who gave you that other sword? Nobody, I made it myself. The girl was astonished by the elegance of the blade but verbalized a thought she had. I thought you were only an apprentice. What style is it, Masamune or Muramasa? The reply she got was nope. I've been forging blades for a little while now. Learned pretty quickly under Masamune and Muramasa sensei, and it's a Masamune. Shitsunin is the only Muramasa I'd ever make. May I ask who this is for? It's stunning. Yeah. You. Then Naruto extended the entire weapon to Hinata, who, upon unsheathing the sword, swooned in an I'm fashion right then on the spot. I'm in heaven. Coming back to the real world, she promptly asked what's its name. You've gotta come up with it. Starstruck, she thought oh my goodness. And said, I know just the name for it, Gyousei Morning Star. Come on. We have got to go to tell Yuga-sensei about this. Dragging the blonde just as he put away his katana and placed it on his right hip. He sweat dropped as he thought something tells me this is gonna be troublesome. Hokage's office. The Hokage sat at his desk reading over documents that he had received earlier that morning as he sat facing the Hokage monument. Sensing a presence in the room, the old man said status report. Hi. The children aren't doing as well as planned, their skills are limited only to several ninjutsu, an academy-based jutsu that's weak at best, and they have extremely limited genjutsu experience. All other forms are omitted completely excluding a few kenjutsu practices in Iruka's class. To be honest sir, it's an embarrassment to our shinobi skills. I see. Arigato. You're dismissed, you can continue to evaluate your choice. Sir. The shinobi then vanished in the blur of a shunshin. Looking out his window with a sigh, the old man closed his eyes as he said, you got all that Jiraiya? Jumping in from the window, a man with white hair, a kabuki-style wardrobe with a headdress with the kanji for oil on it, and a giant scroll on his back said, yeah, so what do you plan to do about it? Opening his eyes, the elderly Kage said, I plan to give them a crash course in true shinobi skill. Their test is going to be changed from now on, rest assured of that. Raising a brow, the kabuki warrior asked, what do you have in mind? Smirking, the god of shinobi said, they're going to be fighting each other and us. The senin was shocked at this statement, he questioned, what is he thinking? He knows that wouldn't be fair to genins unless there were just that many of those obviously holding back. So, you have anybody in mind for me to be going up against? Smirking, the Kage said, as a matter of fact, I do Anbu. In a flash of shunshin, several shinobi appeared saying, hi Lord Hokage-sama. Send a message to the village that there is to be a shinobi tournament held out in the stadium at the end of the week. It is to be called Konoha no Tokti Mnamento Flurry of the Leaves Tournament. Hi. That said, they all disappeared in a wide range of shunshin in order to quickly pass the word. Well, this is certainly gonna be one hell of a spectacle if you and I are taking part in it. That's the plan. Every shinobi will come here to take part in the contest to show off what they know, and every genin will see what it takes to be true shinobi here in the village. Those that wish to continue to be a part will do so, those that don't will leave. Consider it my weeding routine if you will. That's some real diabolical thinking you have, you know that sensei. I'm not known as the professor for nothing. Quite true. Well, I've got to go prepare. See you at the stadium. Then, he vanished as well to go get set up. Rising, the Hokage thought, this is the best way I can see what strength you truly have, Naruto and Hinata. Let's see how far you've come in the last 4 years. With Naruto and Hinata. The two children had ran all the way to where they believed their sensei Yugao to be. On the more secluded part of town, yet still inside the shopping district, they came to an old 2-story building with a board that read Tamashi no Tabi' Soul Journey on the front. Going inside, Naruto asked as they gazed at the deceptively enormous room, "Oi, Hinata Haim, you remember when we first came here?" She laughed as she replied, "I remember when we first came here, haha, we thought the room was a genjutsu and tried to dispel it." Naruto then called out Masamune-sensei. "Oi, you here?" And had a distant voice respond in the back. "Yugao's here too." Walking to the back, the two came into the blacksmith portion of the building. It held an enormous furnace and 2 giant tables. There were windows at various locations, so as to provide light to the smiths as they worked on their swords. Naruto smirked as he looked at the tables, saying, "Good for any kind of blade, eh sensei?" The man with blonde white hair down to his spine smiled in kind and answered, "That was the idea, Naru-kun. So, what brings all you people into my humble shop this day? I was surprised to see Yugao stopping by so early." Yugao, a woman with long wine red hair and in an Anbu outfit equipped with a katana on her back, spoke first. "I came here hoping to get my katana repaired. My last mission ended up giving it a scratch that I can't polish out." The master smith said with a gleam in his eye, "Well, why don't you pull it out and let Naru do it for you? After all, he's been patching up swords a majority of his blacksmith's career here." Huffing, the blonde said, "Only because you made me, you evil old man." Laughing, Masamune replied, "Oh, please, it was for your own good. You actually were an excellent repairman, and to think it was only 2 years ago that you came into this shop begging me and Muramasa to instruct you on how to use a sword." Yugao giggled a bit as she said, "I remember that too. The kid walked in here, saw all the swords, and dropped onto his knees and begged like I was the master smith. It was so adorable, I said yes even though I wasn't the master here." Blushing a bit, the blonde said, "Thanks guys. You're a real big help." Hinata spoke up at that time saying, "Yugao-sensei. Naruto actually made me a sword. Look." Handing the blade to Yugao, she inspected it, as did Masamune from where he stood. Handling the blade carefully, she said, "This is extraordinary. The color, the design, I can feel power emanating from this blade. It's not the same power as that sword you made the first time, Naruto. This one has a calmer, gentler feel to it. I love it." Taking a hold of it, Masamune held it for a sec before nodding and saying, "This blade is in true harmony, Naruto, excellent job. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you were gunning for my spot, haha." "No, after Muramasa-sensei had me create one of his, I felt like I had to do something to balance that out." Frowning at seeing his student think about dark times again, the old sword maker said, "I understand, but you did an excellent job with this sword here and you've mastered your own Muramasa. So, I'd say you did the old boy very proud, Naruto. Now, don't you all have a genin exam to be taking part of today?" "Hi." Oh, that reminds me. The Hokage sent a message out today, stating that everyone is to report to the stadium of the exams in a week's time for a tournament he's created for all the shinobi of the village. Even he and Jiraiya of the Sannin is partaking of this contest. I can't wait. Naruto smirked with a thought so, he's planning on testing Hinata and I him. This ought to be fun. Taking back her sword, Hinata smiled as she said well, I just wanted to show you the sword and see if you'd like to go out to dinner later. But, with all the training we're now gonna have to do to be ready, I think we'll have to make a rain check. Nodding, Yugao said okay. I understand that one. We'll do it after, how about that? Running out of the shop, she said that's great. See you then. Once outside the shop, the two smirked before forming a hand seal and vanishing in a flurry of flames and water. Class. The two entered the class the usual way, which Naruto disagreed saying they should have reminded them of the first day they came. However, Hinata then said no. We can't have Sasuke trying to get you into any more trouble by asking for the technique and you confronting him to say no. It may be the last day for us, but you can still be pulled before the tests get processed. Walking into class, they walked up to see Sasuke in his typical window seat with a smug look on his face as he said hey dope, you gonna demonstrate your death clones to us again? Ignoring him, Naruto walked right by him as Hinata took a more agile approach, simply leaping up to their usual seat. Today, however, before Naruto could get there, Kiba made a mad dash for the spot next to her and actually sat next to her. He had a lustful look in his when he said hey, Hinata-chan. You're looking great as usual, mind if I ask you out on a date? Rolling her eyes, she said yes, Kiba, as a matter of fact I do. Naruto stood before Kiba with his arms folded over his chest as he said move it mutt, you're in my seat. Kiba grinned as he said ha. Looks like you're sitting elsewhere today Uzumaki. Hinata said Kiba, please get up. I'm not in the mood to be pestered by you for dates today. Kiba said with a devious smile on his face only if you give me a kiss. Leaning forward, Kiba got close to Hinata, who was a second away from drawing her blade to threaten Kiba, but then they both stopped as a metal edge seemed to materialize between them. Kiba, I don't have time for games, Hinata doesn't want to sit with you, my patience is wearing thin, and if you don't move in the next 3 seconds I am going to neuter you. Okay. Growling, the bestial boy obeyed the instructions of his blonde classmate. As he passed, he whispered you don't stand up to Sasuke like that. And Naruto responded in the same tone stay out of it, I'll deal with him soon enough. Pulling back his wakizashi and sheathing it, Naruto sat down just as his two senseis came through the door. Alright class, we're beginning your exam. You are to demonstrate a henge, a substitution, a bunshin clone, and a jutsu of your choice for extra credit. Please get in line outside, we'll call you in one at a time. An time frame like canon except with Naruto excelling in everything but the clone. Yes, I'm being a bit lazy so sue me. Naruto stood by Hinata as they were greeted by her father hello children, how'd you do? We did great father, I came out as number 1 Kunoichi. I came as number 2 male, but I need to be going, there's something I think I need to take care of later. So, I'll see you both for later training, Lord Hiashi. Nodding, the Hyuga elder watched his honorary member walk off a ways and sit by the swing. Only for him to see a teacher walk up to him and talk for a second before the two walked off somewhere else. Now, before he could do anything, Hinata said let him be father, he would have been number 1 had that sensei not ruined his clone jutsu. So, Naruto is handling this on his own and in his own way. The Hokage will be made aware of what is going on whenever Naruto gets a chance to tell him. That's the message he told me, and now, I'm relaying it to you. Brow furrowing, he nodded as he walked with his daughter home, his mind on the blonde who he had started to see as family. Later. Naruto and Mizuki were both in the shadows of the Hokage office as the silver-haired Chunin said so, you ready Naruto? All you gotta do is head in and out of the building with the secret scroll and all without being seen, I understand my role Mizuki-sensei. I'll meet you out in the forest whenever the alarm is sounded for the scroll being missing. Right now, you must make sure not to be seen. If you are, the test is mute alright. Hi. Then, get going. Naruto moved inside the building with the grace of a cat as he scaled up the wall into a window by the ground level. Mizuki watched as he thought soon, the scroll of secrets will be mine. Once I have it, I'll earn a jutsu or 5 from it as my payment and then I'll give it to Orochimaru sensei for that ultimate power he told me about. Later still, in Konoha Forest. Naruto had found a nice spot in the forest pretty deep yet close to the town as he studied the scroll for useful jutsu for later on in the week. I want something that I can really use. Scrolling down from the top, Naruto read Kage Bunshin Clone Tech. That enables user to create clones that divide the chakra evenly amongst themselves and their clones. Also, any experience felt by clones is then absorbed by user upon dispelling of said clones. Warning. Due to mental backlash, this jutsu is advised to dispel only a certain amount to safely execute the technique. Also, it is not advised for those without at least jounin level reserves to use. Okay, that's one. Going down a ways, Naruto found another Karyudan no jutsu user breathes out a dragon of flame. Strength of jutsu is dependent upon strength of user affinity with fire. Used in conjunction with the jutsu Doryu Taiga and Doryudan, user can execute a high-level Katon fire release while trapping or unbalancing his opponents. Those sound promising. Let's see what else there is. Oryuheki mid-level Doton earth release that brings forth a wall of earth for defensive purposes. Warning: enforcing it with a lot of chakra will strengthen the wall, but it is weak against lightning and wind jutsu. Use against them at own risk. Well, can never go wrong with a defensive jutsu every once in a while. What's this? Going down a ways, the blonde-red Uzumaki. And looking below that was another section that read Naruto. Taking his blood once again, the boy worked it like a blood seal and withdrew the scrolls from within it. Stashing them away into a sealing kanji inside his sword's saya scabbard. Setting the scroll aside and memorizing the hand seals for the jutsu, Naruto spoke to himself, well, let's get to work on these jutsu. Hours later. Alarms went off in the distance as the security must have been notified of the missing scroll. Getting up from his nap, the blonde rolled up the scroll and put his clothing back on that he had removed for training. As he did so he thought, man, that's one heck of a workout I did. I mastered all of them thanks to a clone technique of all the ironic things to happen to me. Iruka arrived moments later in a panic, yelling, Naruto. What in Kami's name are you doing with the scroll? Learning a technique from the scroll so I could graduate like Mizuki-sensei said. I did it. I learned a jutsu from the scroll and it was really helpful. Catching his implied meaning, Iruka turned as he heard the sound of flying metal and tackled Naruto, saying, get down. Missing, the shuriken slammed into a tree and remained there after a second or two more of spinning. Huh, should have aimed lower. Oh well, can't always get it on the first try, right? Turning, the two looked up to see Mizuki standing on a tree limb above them. With a fake smile the Chunin said, now, Naruto. Be a good kid and hand me the scroll. No thanks. I'm really not in the mood for dealing with you right now, sensei, so pardon me if I make this quick. Mizuki jumped away as he glanced to see a second Naruto where he had been just a second ago. Clone. Wait, then what's? Glancing down, Mizuki saw that Iruka was standing by the scroll with another Naruto. In his shock, he exclaimed, shadow clones. Landing on another branch, another Naruto spoke from behind him, saying, yep. Man, you're smart, Mizuki-sensei. How do you do it? Grabbing his second shuriken, he cut down the clone nearest him and then threw the projectile through the smoke screen that the clone produced from dispelling. Shine. As the shuriken sped forward, the Naruto by Iruka drew its wakizashi and said, Iruka-sensei, get down. Doing as he was told, the scarred Chunin watched his student held against the chainsaw-like weapon as sparks flew everywhere and he slid back just a little from the force of the blow. After the momentum died down a bit, Naruto righted himself as he swung the weapon of to the side, saying, oi, Mizuki-sensei. How well of a fighter are without your oh so wonderful tools. Dropping down to the floor, Mizuki landed by his shuriken and drawing it from the tree he stalked forward, saying, you think I'm no good as a shinobi? I'll show you how much better I am than you, demon brat. Wanna know why everyone in the village hates you? Iruka shouted, no, Mizuki, that's forbidden. It's okay, Iruka-sensei. I know. Both men paused. What? Naruto stared straight at Mizuki as he said, I know. I'm not an orphan, my father was Minato Namikaze. Yondaime of Konohagakure. He sealed within me the nine-tailed fox Kyuubi no Yoko. I am hated because of his sacrifice and I will protect this country in spite of it. Why? Because traitors like you make me sick. Mizuki growled as Naruto sheathed his wakizashi and placed his hand on his nadachi, saying, you wanna know something, Mizuki-sensei? There's a reason why I never draw this sword in any normal fight. Do you know why that is? Why, you damned beast? Simple, because this sword is a Muramasa blade. The silver-haired Chunin visibly flinched. Why, you're lying. There's no way a demon like you could find such a rare weapon. No one would even sell you such a dark weapon for fear of you going on killing spree. Normally, that would be true. However, you see, I've met Muramasa. I trained under him for 2 whole years in the art of the sword and in the art of the forge. You see, this is no ordinary Muramasa. No, this is one that I made from the very darkness within my heart. This is the blade that took Muramasa-sensei's life, Mizuki. Do you know what they say about a Muramasa and its sheath? Both men said it at the same time, never draw a Muramasa unless blood is to be spilled and never sheath a Muramasa without first drawing blood. Exactly, so guess what, Mizuki? Holding the blade horizontally before his face so the blade would cover his eyes, Naruto continued on to say, you're the second person that will have the honor of tasting my blade. Akai, Shinkiro, you read, Mirage. Suddenly, the entire area was covered in red mist as everything seemed to fade from view. Naruto's voice echoed out from everywhere at once as he spoke. Death is the least of your worries, Mizuki. I'll tell you a little secret about my Muramasa versus the rest of them. Mizuki frantically looked around as he shouted out, show yourself, you damn demon. Slick. Mizuki gasped as he looked down to see Naruto before him, head down, and sword in his gut. Any of the special properties about my blade is that it has the ability to take someone's very soul from their bodies and transfer all of their knowledge into me. You see, I've mastered Kenjutsu Fuin sword technique, sealing all because of that little trick. Now, you are going to pay for your treason, Mizuki. You're going to pay with your life. Looking up, Naruto met the Chunin's gaze with glowing golden orbs with slits in the pupil. The sight of such a vicious eye along with the killing intent coming from both him and the weapon was enough for the traitor to promptly scream out as his soul was swallowed by the sword. When the mirage faded, Mizuki was still there with a sword in his abdomen, but his eyes were hollow and empty. Gazing upon his co-instructor, Iruka nervously asked, and Naruto, did you? Treason is punishable by death. This is the law. If he did not pay, there would have been more dangerous crimes of the like caused by him. I saw into his mind, Iruka. I've seen what he has planned to do from the very start. I know full well what his plans are and everything he knows about one Sannin named Orochimaru. Pulling out his sword and slinging the blood off his blade, Naruto sheathed it and turned to Iruka with a grave expression on his face as his eyes were their natural oceanic blue. By that point we've got bigger problem than Mizuki's betrayal, sensei, much bigger. Ch.10 Trading blows. Iruka stood in complete awe of his student Naruto. He took down Mizuki with a Genjutsu and Kage Bunshin shadow clones. Both of which were high-ranking techniques if Mizuki couldn't break out of it until after Naruto had pierced him. He's grown immensely, and right under my nose. Shaking his head mind of the thought, the scarred Chunin called the blonde over to him saying, Naruto, come here and close your eyes. I have something for you. When the boy obeyed, he felt a weight being placed on his head, smiling. Iruka said, you can open your eyes now, Naruto. Doing so, the blonde smirked when he felt the metal of a Konoha hit on his brow as Iruka spoke to him, I'm so proud of you. You've shown a great level of skill and strategy in the usage of your Genjutsu, Kenjutsu, and Bunshin. I believe that you are more than worthy of the rank of Jonin. You deserve it. Smiling, Naruto simply said, Arigato sensei. Just then, Anbu appeared on the scene. One with an Neko cat mask asked what happened. We heard a scream in this vicinity. Upon recognizing the Anbu, Naruto smirked as he commented, Oi, Yuga sensei. You're late. I already took care of the traitor and saved the day, however feel free to take what's left of him, we gotta run. Upon seeing the blonde and the stolen scroll, she stopped them saying, was Mizuki the one responsible for the theft of the scroll? Locking eyes, Naruto and Iruka turned and said hi. Okay, then, you two go on and take care of that, we'll clean up for you. Arigato sensei. When they left, one of the Anbu examining the body said, Nico, you may want to come check this out. Coming over, Yugao asked, so what's the damage, Tori? Looking up from his position of being crouched next to the corpse, Tori said, not good at all. I mean, there's only a single piercing in the chest cavity as you can see, yet the effect it had on him is so much more excruciating. Looking harder, she asked, what do you mean? Yeah, he looks a little rough, but… No. Look, there's no blood outside of the wound. No chakra residue. No nothing, just a corpse with empty eyes. As if his soul was taken. Turning, the two looked over at the other member of the Anbu present. What are you saying, that a 12-year-old boy with a DAISHO2 sword set stole the soul of a traitorous shinobi? If the shoe fits. Thinking on it, Yugao entertained the thought, well, that sword of his is a Muramasa. Who knows what kind of abilities it has. Then again, it's Naruto's Muramasa, seeing as he made it. He never does talk about how he made that sword, nor does he talk about what happened to Muramasa the day he died. That sword may just have the power to do so. Ugh, this is way out of my pay grade. I'll deal with that personally at a later date, right now, we gotta get this body to the morgue. Hi. With Naruto and Iruka. The two had been walking together for a while when Iruka decided to ask a question. Naruto. Hi sensei. Did you mean that back when you said that your sword was a… Hi. This is a Muramasa style Nadachi, I made it, but it has all the strengths of a true Muramasa. Master told before he passed that I actually created a weapon on par with the great demon blades of his own making. Iruka nodded saying, I could believe that, it's not every day you see a sword take someone's soul. However, I need to ask, did you actually kill your sensei? With a mournful look the blonde genin responded, hi. He had taught me all he knew and tasked me with creating a weapon of Muramasa class. After a year, I was able to do so, and when I was finished he told me to fight him. I didn't want to at first, but when he attacked, my blade and I joined together. That same moment was the moment I took his life and his soul as well. Shocked, Haruka turned to his student as they walked. So, that's what you meant when you said that. Yes, Muramasa was the first person that my sword has fought and taken. That's how I learned one of its properties. There are others, yet I won't know until I'm in combat. I know Muramasa sensei's style, the Mumyo Jinpuryu Satsujin Kei and Sword of the Devilish Wind and Mumyo Jinpuryu Aogi and all the attacks that come with it. He also taught me how to use Ki killing intent energy and Maai samurai sense of awareness of the space between self and opponent. To be honest, that was the hardest fight I've ever had in my life and sensei was so fast. Anyway, after I defeated him, I earned the mark of Kouryu Yellow Dragon of the Central Void from his sword, Tenrou Skywolf, and placed it inside a location that he instructed of me to. Haruka was just guffawing as a result of the boy's tale. When he recovered enough, he said, "So, Ito, why do you call Yuga-sensei?" Perking up a little bit, the blonde said because she taught Hinata Kenjutsu and she helped us learn a bit of Fuinjutsu. I learned the bulk of what I know from Masamune-sensei. Coughing, Haruka said, "Matt, you had both Masamune and Muramasa as your instructors. You could make swords and be rich." "Well, I do. I make weapons and repairs every once in a while and I take special requests. My rules are, if you get me the materials I need, I'll make the weaponry and only charge you for the actual product. It earns me a bit of income every now and again." The Chunin instructor sat slack-jawed at the information his student gave him. He went about it in such a way that Naruto cheered up and started laughing. When they had both calmed down enough, they went on towards the Hokage's office. Upon entry, Naruto said, "Haruka-sensei. I need a favor from you." Curious, the shinobi said, "Sure, what do you need?" "I need for you to not mention my sword being a Muramasa in your report or what its properties are. If he found out, he'd have to inform the council and they have no idea that I even own a sword. If they knew who my teachers were and what all I knew, I'd end up making weaponry for every shinobi in Kunoichi and Konoha. Neither my sensei nor I can handle that large a task. Understand?" With an understanding nod, Haruka said, "I understand, I'll leave it out. However, you do know that the Hokage will find out eventually." "I know, and I'll deal with it when the time comes. Until then, I appreciate your silence." "Welcome." Knocking upon the door, they heard the Hokage's voice say, "Come in." Entering, they brought the scroll with them, Naruto placing on the couch by the door as Haruka stood at attention and presented his report in an oral manner. "Sir," securing the scroll and Naruto's location as ordered. Naruto knew what was going on from the beginning, sir. It started with sabotaging of the boy's test and further convincing of the boy to steal the scroll and turn it over to him. Naruto cooperated only to the extent of gaining the scroll. Having learned the Kage Bunshin, he utilized it in his attack on the Chunin. Furthermore, recognizing his attempt to end both of our lives, Naruto took it upon himself to end the threat out of self-defense of myself and his own lives. Very well, did he graduate? Hi. With full honors, Hokage-sama. Good. Then you are dismissed. Naruto, can you stay for a moment, this won't take long at all. Hi. Upon Haruka's leaving, Naruto sat down before the old cage saying, "So, what's up, Jiji? I am aware of your use of an adachi to dispatch of Mizuki and I also know that it's a Muramasa." Shock appeared on the blonde's face, but for a second before it was crushed under a mask of stoicism. "He did that so fast I almost didn't catch it. Seems he's picked up quite a bit from the Hyuga clan." "Naruto, as I'm sure you know, normally I'd have to report this to the council." An eyebrow raised as the genin asked normally. Smirking, the old man answered, "Yes, however, seeing as this is a shinobi matter. I dictate all the aspects of what knowledge is shared about my shinobi program. So, seeing as this is a military affair. You're off the hook, but just don't feel like you have to hide things from me if you tell me I know what to do to handle them. It's when it's a surprise that things go wrong. Okay?" Naruto got a deadly serious look as he said, "So long as you remember that this whole process is a two-way street, Jiji, we're fine. Just keep in mind that those same words apply to you, trying to protect me or not. I'm growing, I can handle things and take care of myself to some degree. You don't have to keep things from me, okay?" With a slightly ashamed look on his face, he remembered his meeting with the goddess and his lineage as he said, "I'll be sure to do so." "Now, do you know about the tournament?" "Hi. I was informed by Nico-chan, you and one of the Sanin are taking part in it, I hear." Smiling, Sarutobi said, "Well, not just that, but there are other interesting aspects to this tournament. All that I ask is that you don't hold back should you fight me or any other person above standard Jonin rank. Trust me on this." "Hi, will do, Jiji. Well, I gotta get going. Jaiken training." "Alright, go on. See you at the end of the week." Hi. But that Naruto vanished in a flash of flames. Stunned, Hiruzen thought Shunshin. Then with a smile on his lips he said aloud, "Well, the boy is getting good, this is going to be one interesting event." Hyuga compound. Walking towards the estate, Naruto greeted the two shinobi normally blocking the doorway. Hey guys, I'm back. Smiling the two replied finally, we were getting worried about little Naruto. Didn't know if you were gonna show up when we saw Lord Hiashi and Hinata come in without you. Giving a foxy grin. Oh, come on guys, you think I'd purposely leave here and not come back to see my favorite two guards? You've obviously hit your heads on something. Yeah, well, thanks. You however, may want to get in there, those two should be headed to the courtyard right about now. Walking past, he said, thanks guys. See in couple of hours. Entering into the manor, the blonde went straight to his training area. As he reached it, Hinata and Hiashi were reaching it at the same time. Smiling at the two, the newly made genin said told you I'd get done with everything in time for training. Smiling, Hinata said I'm glad all went well with your plan, you don't seem injured. Course not. He wasn't all that difficult of a challenge. Hiashi frowned as he asked so, what exactly did he do? He tried to use me to get the forbidden scroll of secrets out from the Hokage building and then kill me off in the forest. Both looked at the blonde with wide eyes as they exclaimed in unison Nani. Smiling with a hand behind his head, he replied come on, it wasn't that bad. I had worse growing up, besides Iruka-sensei was there to back me up should it have gone awry. Sighing Hiashi said so, there was someone there to help. Good. Hinata relaxed as well, though she looked a bit angry. As Naruto got beside her to begin their forms, she hit him in the arm relatively hard. Nani. That was for doing something so reckless and not including me. You could have been seriously injured. There was a chance of that, but I didn't want you or the other Hyugas involved. There would have been trouble had you gotten injured. Exactly, that is why she wouldn't have been able to go even if she wanted to. Both looked at Hiashi as they began their exercises, however, that was short-lived as he spoke aloud. You know what? Stop. We're going to do something different today. In light of recent events, you two are going to do a bit of sparring. This will help integrate what you're learning into your fighting instinct and allow you to fix whatever is wrong in your form. If not, you'll do it all night until I like what I see, understood? Hi. Alright then, let's begin. Squaring off, both entered into traditional Jaikin posture. They placed their dominant leg in front with even spacing, as if in a horse stance, their dominant hand was also in front, facing palm out. Their other arm was bent at their waist, palm up. Charging forward, the two clash with a solid palm thrust. This was followed by a second clash of palms as the follow-through met up, but after that it changed, as Naruto ducked and stepped forward. Getting inside of Hinata's guard. The brunette jumped to the left as the blonde struck out with a left-handed palm strike, but Naruto jumped backwards to avoid the double palm Hinata sent for his ribsage. She quickly followed up with a right palm thrust, only to have it blocked skyward by Naruto's left arm and attack with a thrust of his own. Hinata leaned into the attack and dodged a little, making it miss just an inch above her shoulder. She again rapidly followed suit, striking out with a rising shot to the ribs with her remaining left hand. Sensing the blow, Naruto pivoted his right leg around to evade the hit while leaving Hinata's back and head open for attack. Caught off guard, the girl used her momentum to swing into a handstand with a reverse axe kick Kuzo. Naruto leaning back just enough to barely miss the swing. He jumped back a bit and fell into a stance. As he did so, Hiashi's eyes widened. That can't be. He doesn't know that technique. There's no way he could pull that off without having the Byakugan, he wouldn't know if he's hitting the right spots. Where did he even learn that from? As Hinata rose from her attack, she found herself paralyzed and a green seal on the ground. Looking up at Naruto's stance, her eyes also widened as she thought he's not serious, is he? Then, I guess I'll have to pull that out as well. Naruto came in to attack, calling Haki Sanjuni Sho 8 trigrams 32 palms. Just as he closed in and dropped the seal to attack, he called as he connected blows 2-4 arg. Bekesho Katen 8 trigrams heavenly spin. Turning, Hinata used a fourth hit to start a revolution into an aerial Katen that knocked the blonde back away as she landed in a crouch and catching her breath as she held her right shoulder. That's enough. Relaxing, the pair smiled at each other as they approached their instructor. Looking at them both, he said I don't know what brought that about, but keep it for this week's tournament. Also, since when have you two been able to utilize main house techniques? Naruto answered first saying we've been practicing at my place for a while and we got it about a week after saw them performed. Hinata added it took us the rest of the week after seeing it to fully master it and integrate it into our styles of fighting. Hiashi nodded as he fought to keep his typical stoic look, but on the inside he was ecstatic. That's a new record. How in the world did these two master these stances and who showed them how to do them? Do they know any more? Naruto asked, Lord Hiashi, is it possible for us to go to my compound and practice? This week is gonna fly by fast and I think that we should be prepared. Accepting the boy's request, he nodded an affirmative. As the two left, he thought I'm interested to see what else those two have up their sleeves. Maybe this tournament wasn't such a bad idea after all, Lord Hokage. I may just join up myself to see what those two can do. How far have you come exactly, Naruto Hinata? Ch.11, collision and return. As Naruto and Hinata walked to the Namikaze compound, the blonde said Hinata-chan. Just what has Yuga-sensei taught you? Looking curious, Hinata answered, and where is this coming from, Naru-kun? Glancing at his partner, he said Iruka-sensei had asked me on the way to the Hokage's office and I couldn't do more than give him a couple of things we picked up. Smirking, she replied, well, when you spill some of your secrets, Blondie, I'll be more than happy to give you a definitive answer. Jaw dropped, the boy yelled, oi. Really? Quoting that duck Asachiha isn't going to get you anywhere with me. Remember that. In response, the girl simply giggled as she skipped ahead, forcing the boy to pick up his pace to keep up. Closing in on the gate, Naruto said, you know what? I've got a bit of a wager for you. Raising an eyebrow, Hinata responded, I'm listening. This'll be a mock fight between us. No summons, no Higasha Waza guardian skill, and no using of our most powerful jutsu, right? Hi. This place may be filled with repair and barrier seals, but those wouldn't be able to stand the strain our jutsu would put on them. I understand. Good, now put your hand in lock, I've got it set up to acknowledge you for entry anytime into this place. Walking towards the door, she turned around looking a bit nervous. You mean this dragon's head? Feigning annoyance, the blonde said, hi. Now hurry up. Alright. Placing her hand on the tongue, the dragon's eyes glowed with a bluish light before speaking, you are found worthy, enter. Creaking a bit, the large wooden doors opened and allowed the two to enter the premise. Walking ahead of the young Hyuga, Naruto said, welcome to the Namikaze compound, you can come by any time. Especially for training, so, let me show you to the training arena. Simply nodding, the brunette followed in blind awe of the beauty of the place. Sakura trees were in full bloom and lined the cobblestone walkways on both sides. The genin led his friend down a path towards an area that possessed a stage or platform of some kind with 4 statues at its corners. Each statue was in samurai attire and each was in a differing position. Though the similarity between them was the tiger seal that each held. Walking up the stairs, the blonde said, this, my dear Hinata, is where we'll spar for the rest of the week. So you know, the statues have Haya Akitsu Fuin sin devouring ocean goddess seals in them that drain raw chakra. This means that as we fight, we'll lose chakra at an increased rate. Improving our reserves and forcing us to maximize our molding to the least amount possible to make it work, helping with our conservation of chakra. They also hold elemental chakra that's wasted, but don't worry, you'll be able to use it from them as you go on. Hinata was stunned as the boy continued, thinking this is absolutely crazy. What kind of a stage is this? Finishing, the Namikaze said, now, as for rules, you can release your physical seals and use one ability from your necklace. Oh, and if you draw your blade, that's what we'll be working on for tonight. That'll be it. Let's work on Kenjutsu and Taijutsu for now, we'll cover the rest later. Smiling, the Hyuga heiress placed her hand in a half-ram seal as she called Ohoyama Fuinkai Mountain God Seal release. There was a yellowish-green glow that covered her body as chains before fading away, the chains seemingly undoing themselves back towards the girl's left breast. Breathing lightly, the seal was visible through her outfit for a second as she spoke, it feels good to take that off every once in a while, so, any more quirks about this stage I should know. Smirking, the boy said, unfortunately, this thing also has an automatic pressure seal with SHIENJIN 4 violet flames battle encampment, jutsu meaning. Picking a pebble at the gap in between 2 statues, their eyes turned violet as a wall of flames appeared and incinerated the pebble. As it did so, Hinata jumped and Naruto went on, we can't be touching the walls either. My parents were insane geniuses. Sweat dropping and letting out a nervous giggle. The girl muttered to herself, you could say that again. Walking to the other side of the girl, the genin went through hand signs before calling Yufuin Shikai Yang Seal initial release. Blinking, the blue-haired genin asked, now, let me guess, you got that trick from Masamune? Hi. It's like the 8 gates, except I don't suffer the repercussions because it's bringing me to my actual level of strength. So long as I don't go from Shikai to Bankai final release, I'm okay. The soft blue glow emanated from him as his seal was released, and stretching, the blonde said, you ready? Hi. Whenever you are. Alright then, Hajime, begin. The white aura shone throughout the stage as seals appeared on the floor and covering the statues as the two charged at one another. Hinata, feeling the effects of the seal, flinched slightly as her body got accustomed. Naruto, on the other hand, came in a low crouch and smirked when his partner looked at him with wide eyes. Attacking, the blonde struck her on the chin with an uppercut as he spoke. Now you didn't think it was gonna be easy, did you? Following the first blow, the blonde twisted into an aerial reverse roundhouse kick that spun the girl as she was in the air. The Hyuga heiress automatically reacted with a horizontal katen that knocked the blonde away and back onto the ground, landing on the stage herself a moment later in a crouch. With a smile on her face and sadistic look, that took on a very warm-hearted open-eyed smile, she replied while standing. Actually, for a second there, I did. While going through hand signs, she continued however, now that I know you're serious about this, let's go. Tsukiamori Fuin Kaimun wait seal release. A soft gray glow emanated from her frame as she released her second seal. Her hair waving about as if being blown by an invisible breeze, and when it fell back into its regular appearance, the glow faded and she seemingly vanished from her spot. Nani what? Crack. The Namikaze's head was ripped to the side as a strike turned him. Chuckling, the blonde spoke aloud Yafuan Dai Nikai Yang seal second release. Another blue aura poured off of him as the seal's effect diminished, and as it did the blue net appeared behind him with a flying sidekick aimed for his head. Leaning back, the move was dodged as the boy went into a back handspring kick that connected and knocked his opponent away as he used the momentum of the hit to fling himself up into a standing position. Hinata landed in a standing slide as she turned around once before stopping. As she recovered, she thought okay, that's 2 seals each. Either he's toying with me or the seals we're using are the same in strength. Now, how am I going to beat him? Hinata, you shouldn't be wasting time thinking, dear. Humming from her thoughts, the girl jumped back with an eep. As Naruto was directly face to face with her. Smiling, the blonde said, I thought so. Look, don't fight me so with your head. Come at me with your own instinct. It'll help you later should you end up groggy or drugged and can't exactly focus fully for some reason. Relax and let your body move of its own accord, that way you can think as you move. Nodding, and still a bit red in the face, she answered hi. Will do, but the next time you get in my face like that, you may get hit on accident. Hi, come on. Fine. Take this. Hovering her hands with water, Hinata began to move, Naruto following suit with flame-covered hands. Charging, the two went in a fairly more aggressive fight as their attacks were using their elements in a fluid and instinctual manner. The Hyuga princess cut left as her opponent went right, lashing out with an elemental palm thrust at each other, yet their reversing into a spinning hook kick unleashed whips of both flame and water that was ducked under by their own attempts to connect a blow. They continued on until Hinata changed up and went for a front flip axe kick with a stream of water following, but the boy sidestepped and went for a double roundhouse. The first catching her leg, forcing Hinata down, and the second catching her forearm as she was blocking. The power of the hit caused her to flip sideways, along with causing a cloud of steam, and using that, she shot out into a one-handed cartwheel kick. The unseen attack knocking the genin into the air as his partner called out. Suiten Yumayagama water release seaside. Lancing down, Naruto saw Hinata gather water in her palm from out of thin air and then throw it in a sidearm style. The water seemingly exploded into a flurry of crescent-shaped blades as they flew directly at him. His mind raced, Kuzo, damn. She's gonna kill me with that. As he flipped through several signs, Tori Yasagi Inuo Hitsuji Tatsu Tori. Bird Hair Dog Ram Dragon Bird. Gyuten. Kazakiri Bakudan no Jutsu Wind Release. Wind Cutter Bomb Technique. Gathering wind within his own palm, Naruto created a sphere of whirlwind pressure air and threw it forward. When it left his hand, it exploded into dozens of wind waves that cut through the water crescents and went on to attack Hinata. Gee damn. Rapidly making hand signs, the girl called out again, saying Katen. Kaunhiki no Jutsu Flame Release. Red Flame Burst Technique. Clapping and opening her hands over her chest, the girl gathered a ball of flame in between them and when it was complete she thrust it forward. In a DBZ Kamehameha fashion. The result was a giant torrent of red fire that shot out and when it hit the wind waves, it immediately grew in size, speed, and color. The flame increased its power to a searing blue-white aura that seemingly burned the sky all the way to Naruto. Said Uzumaki was smiling as the attack closed in and when it hit, the boy laughed aloud. His opponent frowning upon realizing her mistake. Fire user plus fire jutsu equals countered attack and wasted chakra. Stupid move. You know, Hinata, I think this was a mistake that you might just regret making. Glaring at the flaming ball that descended before, she muttered no more than I already do now. Well, I believe this is yours. Hera. Gathering the flame around himself into a stream, the Namikaze twisted it around as he moved, finishing only to launch it towards the blue net. Think firebending. Thinking quickly, Hinata created a dome of water to guard against the attack. Within the ensuing mist created from the combined elements, Hinata called out aim rain. Slowly, a drizzle formed out of nowhere and dissipated the mist. Ironically, more came as a result of the water hitting the seal walls, leaving the two totally blind. Naruto simply closed his eyes as he said aloud, good work Hinata, this was really good thinking on your part. Now, Kinjutsu. Umatori no Usagi Onizumi inu Usagi Tora Onizumi no inu Hibi, an horse tiger boar hare rat dog hare tiger rat boar dog snake. Byakugan evil, I. Drawing her wakizashi, the girl charged forward at the immense amount of she had come to recognize as Naruto. Jumping, she brought her blade down on the blonde, silently praying that he had some way of seeing in the fog. Fling. She breathed a bit when she felt his blade against hers, thankful that the boy was as smart as she hoped. However, sensing this, the boy spoke. Based on that breathe, you thought I couldn't see you. Didn't you, Hinata? Hi. Don't ever underestimate your opponent, they may have skills that you know absolutely nothing about. So, as a precaution, treat every opponent as such. Understood? Hi. Gosh good. Here we go. Pushing the female genin away, Naruto vanished before she could hit the ground. Quickly turning she blocked a slash meant for her abdomen, another aimed at her back, 2 thrusts for her face, and a series of rapid swings targeting different vital spots. Appearing behind her a distance away, the young Hyuga sped over to where he was standing and went for attack of her own. She hacked, cut, slashed, and moved all around him. Looking for an opening and simultaneously trying to create one. To her dismay and curiosity, nothing she tried worked. It's like he has the Byakugan as well. How are you doing that? Doing what? Avoiding everything I'm doing to hit you? I haven't hit you yet. It's called Mai. It's a technique that my sensei Muramasa taught me. It allows me to sense anything within the range of my field of perception. So, really, I don't need my eyes to see. Well, you definitely have to teach me to do that. I guess, but I haven't hit you either, so your eyes work just as well. Besides, looks like Yuga-sensei taught you quite a bit during your time together. That she did, but you got a lot more training than I did and from better instructors. No. No instructor is better than another, it's all dependent upon how and what they teach you. Then, what you learn from their style of teaching and whether or not it was compatible to us. We both got an extraordinary amount from our sensei's lessons for only knowing them 2 years, and I'd say we're both rather skilled. Right? The two began clashing again, hitting one another with combos and tricks that they'd picked up from their sensei's teachings. Neither of them landed a blow, and Hinata, truly wanting a hit. She attacked Naruto with a spinning low kick, but when Naruto jumped to dodge, she followed it with a forward thrust while leaning backwards. Nani? The blonde tilted his head to the left a bit and held up the flat of his blade so as to avoid a serious injury, but he grunted when her sword bit into his shoulder. That was totally outside of the box, where'd she get that from? As he landed, the blue-haired genin stood and twisted around as she swung calling out Mizukiba Water Fang. The crescent wave of water flew towards the blonde as he landed and sensing it coming, he brought his sword up to block it. As it hit, he slid back a little ways more, surprised that it had as much power behind it as it did. After holding it off for a second and it hadn't faded, he leaned back and allowed it to pass over him and fly into the wall of flames in a spray of steam. That was quite a move. Arigato. Welcome. Heighten. Chirensa, SOUTI hit and release. Earth chain binding. Suddenly, metal chains shot from beneath Hinata's feet and wrapped her legs, arms, and neck as Naruto swung his blade in an upward and downward motion saying Kenton. Daiuer and Jetsu blade release. Dual scathing moon. A ring of energy came off the sword as the attack flew vertically to a pinned Hinata. Inhaling and exhaling deeply, she formed a wall of ice in front of her from the rain and used a substitution with a sakura petal to avoid the flying attack as it sliced through the ice wall and everything behind. Leaving a shocked girl to watch as the attack went on and even cut through the barrier before dissipating a little ways further. You could have killed me with that technique, what's wrong with you? There's a reason Hinata, and it's meant to kill. You're a kunoichi and you knew how to escape that. Be glad I gave you time to do so. Nani? I slowed that jutsu down for you to get out, also, there's another heighten that I'd normally use to prevent escape completely as well as potentially kill you before the second attack comes. However, this is training still, so I leave those kinds of things out. Are you still holding back on me? No. Nodding, she sheathed her wakizashi before pulling out her Masamune. Good, because neither am I. Mikitsuki no Mai dance of the crescent moon. Summoning 3 clones, all 4 of them began to move in elegant dance patterns that produced afterimages. Closing his eyes, Naruto put away his sword as well and dropped into a stance. His right leg slid slightly behind him as his right hand was palmed down across his chest and his left hand was placed on his Muramasa with his thumb on the base of the Tsuba hilt. As Hinata and her clones closed in, the blonde smirked as he flicked his thumb. Schling. Poof. 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 Clang. Hinata stared in shock as the two deadlocked and her clones popped out of existence. She was awestruck as she saw the blonde's chakra turning a golden color before he opened his eyes and looked at her. Her heart stopped temporarily and she felt unbridled fear as her mind could only process one statement: those eyes. As Naruto gazed at the girl facing him, his smirk never left his face as he said, now you know the one thing I told you I hoped you never knew. This is why you named your sword Setsun and Oblivion. Hi. Pushing the girl backwards, the blonde came forward in a blur of speed and kicked her in the stomach before she could land. He followed that with an elbow to the back that sent her straight into the stage. Getting up groggily, the girl stood in a defensive stance as the blonde observed her in cold, predatory manner. Now, you haven't bonded your sword yet. Such a shame, if I were you, I'd fight with the intent to kill me, otherwise, you may get hurt. Charging forward, the boy attacked with a series of slashes and quick cuts that placed the blue-haired Hyuga entirely on defense. She put up a little fight, attacking when he went to fall back, but the blonde simply dodged her parry to place her back on the protective. The while, the girl's mind raced, what's with him? I can't get a single hit on him at all. What's worse is that he's toying with me. Why am I so afraid? Angered, the heiress charged the blonde with a horizontal slash that turned into a mule kick, followed by a front flip into a reverse axe kick and vertical slice. All of which missed when the blonde sidestepped and lashed out with a side kick that knocked her back and off her feet. His face contorting into a vicious expression, Naruto yelled. Pathetic. If we were on the field you'd be dead right now and there'd be nothing I could do to save you. There's nothing but fear reflected in your blade. When you dodge, you're afraid to get cut. When you attack, you're afraid of killing someone. Even when you're trying to protect yourself, you're afraid of getting killed. Your sword speaks to me only of absurd fear, yet it isn't necessary in a fight as nothing good is born of that. Strength comes not from fear, but from its absence in the face of resolve. When you dodge they won't cut me. When you block they won't kill me. When you attack, I will kill them. Your will must be certain, your desire to kill present and strong. Well, can't you see the resolve to kill you in my sword? Elsewhere in the universe. Achu. Boy. Watch where you're sneezing hat and clogs. Gomen. I think someone's talking about me. Back in the Naruverse. Nodding, Hinata placed her left hand against the edge of her katana and hissed as she cut it. Then, wiping blood across the seals on the flat of her blade, it glowed in a silvery white hue as Hinata's eyes gained an azure color to them before fading away moments later. Exhaling and breathing deep suddenly, she fell to the ground, unconscious. The blonde, cutting his hand on the blood groove of his blade, let his blood flow down the blade before sheathing his sword and reactivating all their seals. As he walked forward, he spoke aloud as he went to pick up the Hyuga, saying. I'm glad you understand. By the time you wake up, you'll have all the knowledge of Gyousei Morning Star and know all that you need to know about our blades. You did an amazing job, sweet dreams, Hinata Haim. Now, let's get you back home. Kai. Slowly, the rain dissipated and all the seals in place were dissolved as the blonde carried the girl off the stage and headed towards the Hyuga estate. As he traveled he thought aloud as he looked at the moon above, I wonder what will happen in these next few days. Either way, it's bound to be interesting. Hokage's office. As the Hokage was finishing up his work for the day, he was alerted to the presence of someone near him. Come in. Obeying, a shinobi in a standard Chunin outfit came in and said, Lord Hokage, I have news from Master Jiraiya regarding the tournament. Go on. Hi. He says that there will be one other of the Sannin coming to take part in this event, they should be here by the end of the week. Smiling, the shinobi no Kami god of ninja said good. You're dismissed. Upon the Chunin's departure, the old man thought to himself, well now this is certainly going to turn things up a notch. 2 of my old students returning to Konoha. This will truly be an interesting weekend. That's for sure. Village gates. As the moon was blocked away behind some clouds, 3 figures approached the village gates. All 3 had on shrouds and hoods so as to keep all but their lips invisible. As they came close, the guards called out halt. State your name, purpose, and show your paperwork. Continuing on, the figures said nothing and as the guards called out again they still received no reply. Just as they were tensing to attack, the moon revealed itself again and a soft breeze blew through the area. The tallest figure's hood blew off and took their honey blonde hair sideways in the breeze. As she spoke the guards froze. I see nothing's changed at all over the years since I've been gone. That said, the 3 kept on their way into Konoha with the 2 shinobi speechless. Ch.12 let me train him. Hinata woke in complete darkness. The world was black as night all around her and there wasn't sound of any kind present. What is this? Where am I and why do I always end up in situations like this? You are in the realm of Tensakai Dumi heavenly boundary made with the sea. When that was said, the world seemed to explode with the sound of shattering glass. As she watched, the darkness was swallowed by light and the young Hyuga found herself surrounded by an infinitely blue sky and sea. I am the keeper of this realm, to you, I am known as Gyasei. It's a pleasure to meet you in person, master. The person seemingly ascended from the surface of the water with a slight ripple surrounding them. Coming to a stop, the heiress looked at her sword in wonder. Beautiful. Arigato master. Daisei stood at 5'7" with neon green hair, ruby red eyes, and a delicate face and figure. She wore a simple violet yukata at knee length and wore her hair in an elegant top-knot fashion, with a silver star pin in her hair on the right side. How did I end up here? Was it? Before she could finish, her mind brought forth images of her fight with Naruto and her bonding with her blade. Then, it also replayed the message that the blonde left to her. Flashback. I'm glad you understand. By the time you wake up, you'll have all the knowledge of Gyousei Morning Star and know all that you need to know about our blades. You did an amazing job, sweet dreams, Hinata Heim. Then flashback. Closing her eyes, the brunette said so, this was what happened to him. Hi. Naruto-sama went through this ordeal right after he killed Muramasa, his instructor. Snapping her eyes open, Hinata gasped out, Nani? How do you know such a thing? Expressionless, the woman spoke, I am made from Naruto-sama's soul. Therefore, I know all of the things he likes and despises about himself. My goal was to instruct you on what you were supposed to learn about me and the Muramasa Setsunin. Do you have question before I begin? Hi. Naruto-kun told me that his blade has the ability to take souls, is that true? Hi. It is. The Hyuga heiress stood in shock as Jaisei went on to say there are specific characteristics about the swords that you must understand. Oju-sama Princess, Muramasa and Masamune both are created using aspects of the creator's own soul. Muramasa being the physical manifestation of darkness within the wielder's heart, whereas Masamune are from the good within someone. The abilities granted to each sword is dependent upon the personalities of the smith and the weapon's master. For instance, if one were to forge a Muramasa with rage in their heart or soul, the weapon's skills would manifest from that emotion. So, are you saying that Naruto has to feel that emotion to activate his sword's abilities? Daisei shook her head as she replied, no, I am merely stating that his heart or soul has to be able to accept such emotions in order for him to have access to them. What makes Naruto-sama different from Muramasa-sama is his ability to use his whole heart and/or soul when forging. Muramasa-sama couldn't do so with more than his own sword because each of his swords took a piece of his soul with them so as to enable strengthening through bonding with the blade's Rei ghost. Now, Naruto-sama's forging was on par with Masamune-sama in using his soul, yet it didn't cost him a part of himself because he decided to use chakra instead of kai. Chakra makes weapons able to adapt to almost any user based upon strength of heart, will, and chakra. They need to be at a certain level or meet certain criteria before being able to utilize us properly without the threat of being taken over by the power of the sword. Hinata blinked as she digested the information, her mind processing like lightning as she said, tell me, what are the properties of both yourself and Setsunin? In a cross between a smirk and a frown, Jaisei answered, the Muramasa Setsunin possesses the traits of hatred, rage, sorrow, jealousy, revenge, and solitude. Its traits may grow in number or strength depending on its user. As for me, I carry love, valor, faith, justice, compassion, and solace. Like Setsunin, my individual traits may change or grow depending upon you or whoever else wields me. I understand. Can you tell me what abilities Naruto and I can use at this time? Jaisei was silent for a moment before nodding slowly as she spoke. Naruto-sama had only learned jealousy and rage, since my forging, those two traits enable the ability to take souls and distribute all their knowledge to himself. It also magnifies his bloodlust and killing intent to extreme levels. Along with his speed, strength, and power. You, on the other hand, know of valor. Which enhances your speed, strength, power, and grants you a limited control over your own aerial maneuverability called jumping. As you train or fight, you'll gain the rest of your abilities. Arigato, Jaisei. Welcome, Oju-sama. Turning away from the woman, she said, I'll have to remember all of this for when I wake up. The ghostly female said, no, you won't. I will establish a mental rapport between us whenever you are ready to leave. Rapport? Hi. A mental connection through which we can talk using telepathy. I can aid you in anything that you would need and offer you advice whenever necessary. Okay then, let's get started on it right away. That sounds really useful, what do I have to do? Walking forward, Jaisei cupped Hinata's face with her hand gently as she said softly, nothing more than relax. Hinata blushed a furious shade of red as Jaisei closed into a lip lock with her. Her mind was in overload as she was too shocked to move, and just as quickly as it had come. It was over and left the poor girl breathing heavily as Jaisei said with a small smile, rapport complete. You may leave now, Hinata. Oju-sama, all that I say is come back and visit me sometime. Hi. With that, the wide-eyed genin vanished in a swirl of water as Jaisei's face fell into a serious expression. She's strong, but she will have to reach a higher level than where she is if she wishes to be equal to Naruto-sama. Elsewhere, on the no Iwato Heavenly Rock Cave. Naruto-kun, what's on your mind? The blonde was kneeling before the goddess as he spoke. I have a question, are there any more like Hinata and I? Her face furrowed as she asked why. What's happened? The Uzumaki replied, I felt earlier this evening a powerful presence entering the village before it suddenly vanished. It felt a lot like my own aura, except with a subtle difference. I don't know how to explain it. Don't worry, I understand. To answer your question, hi, there are others like you too in the world. I just wanted you to be a bit stronger before I had you find out about them. Noticing her face, the genin asked why. What's wrong with the level that I'm at? I've learned my katas, I've mastered all the flames, and even perfected my Higasha Waza guardian technique, so if you're saying that these things aren't good enough, then just how strong do I need to be? Pinching the base of her nose, Amaterasu sighed and said, you still need to master the Magatama, your own Muramasa skills, and raw chakra manipulation. I have other things that I wish to give to you, but we're running out of time for me to be able to teach you them in their entirety. Go back, tell Sarutobi that you're going to be with me training for the rest of the week. Hi. The boy faded from view in a blaze, and when he was gone, the Crimson Goddess turned to the shadows and said, you know, I don't appreciate people entering my domain without permission, even if they are family. I apologize for my error, I wasn't aware that you had company at the time. That's not the point. Tsukiyomi, why are you here? Stepping out from the shadows. A man with snow-white hair, red-orange eyes without pupils, dark blue robes, and a green crescent moon on his forehead, spoke in a soft voice. I am merely here to offer you a proposal, if you're interested. I'm listening. My disciple has an interest in the Namikaze boy, let me use this as a way to kill two birds with one stone. I'll catch the boy up with his training for you, and my pupil gets the training that she needs on an opponent on her level. Thinking it over, the sun goddess nodded saying you have 48 hours to do what you will with him, do not torture him, and do not go too far Aniki brother. I will know if you do, and I will not hesitate to end whatever it is you are doing. Of course, Ani Sama elder sister, I will do as you ask. I will be off, my pupil will be greatly pleased to know of this news. HNN. Arigato, go on. Tsukiyomi bowed before dissolving into nothing, a small smile on his face. Sighing, Amaterasu thought aloud, this is going to be rather interesting. Naruto-kun's gonna be pissed when he finds out. Hokage's office. Come in. Naruto entered the office as instructed, and the old Kage said, why, Naruto-kun, what brings you to me so late in the evening? Amaterasu. Almost immediately, Sarutobi's face lost all traces of humor as he said, what's going on? The blonde said simply, I'm gonna be gone for the next few days, I'm supposed to be training with her to prepare for this tournament. Hinata's doing the same, but she should come to you later on tomorrow morning. I understand. Go on then, when you come back, I want you ready to fight with all you've got. Hi. I'll be leaving then. The knock came from behind the door and the old shinobi let them in. As Naruto walked, he came upon three women. One, a busty blonde with doe brown eyes and a purple diamond on her forehead, the second, a black-haired woman with dark brown eyes and a calm air about her, and the final one was a girl his age with long mahogany-colored hair and pure mother-of-pearl-colored eyes, walking with a cane of sorts. As he passed by them, he felt the world slow down around him until he was side by side with the last girl. His mind wandered. Who is? Before he could finish, he felt her aura and he responded silently. It's you. The one from earlier. She had a small smile on her face, and when she spoke her voice was as soft as a breeze in summer. I finally found you, Namikaze. But Hinata, real world. Hinata woke in her bed, as she got up she thought, I've got to train, there's no way that I'm strong enough right now. To face Naruto-kun's darkness again, I don't know if I'd be able to win. I must get stronger, I must. But that thought, she proceeded to get her gear and head out towards the training grounds. Naruto. The genin walked out of the room and waited for the door to close before he thought, so, that's the one I felt from before. Was she blind? It felt as though she had a mai going around her. Speaking aloud as he headed home in his usual swirl of flames, he sighed out, ugh, who's she bonded with? I've got a feeling that I'm gonna be seeing a lot of her. In town, near the training grounds. Sasuke Uchiha was walking alone through the streets as his mind was brooding. But this tournament, I'm gonna be able to get that dope back for what he did to me, but who do I know that can get me stronger? There's got to be a jounin here somewhere who can help me. As the Uchiha walked, he came upon the memorial stone and saw a lone shinobi standing before it. As he approached, the boy saw silver hair that defied gravity, along with a standard jounin's gear and a face mask on the man. Finding a kunai, the raven-haired genin threw it as hard as he could and was shocked as the kunai pinned his target perfectly. Until it burst into a log and he found himself face to face with a Sharingan eye. The Sharingan. Is this guy an Uchiha? Ch. 13 Motivation. Point 1. The moonlight shone with fierce intensity as the two stood facing one another. Sasuke, with a look of complete confusion, and the other held a gaze that spelled trouble for the genin. Speaking, the elder man said, look, I don't want to know what your intention was, but to attack a fellow Konoha shinobi is against the law of this land. I can tell you're a genin, your aim wasn't bad, but it wasn't too fast now was it? Glowering at the remark, the Uchiha replied rapidly, just who are you, and why do you have the Sharingan? Sighing, the stranger thought he knows about the Sharingan, so, this is the Uchiha survivor. Things are never easy for me. Are they? Placing his hit eye back over his eye, the man answered, the name's Haddock, Kakashi Haddock. You must be the famous Sasuke Uchiha based on your manners, and as to why I have the Sharingan. That's really none of your business. It is my business. You have the Dijutsu of my clan, and if you aren't blood then it becomes an issue as to how, why, and from who you gained or stole it. The Cyclops was taken aback slightly by the boldness that the black-eyed child addressed him, with the kid's got spunk, I'll give him that. However. Sorry, just because you're an Uchiha doesn't mean I owe you anything. Life doesn't work that way. Sasuke watched as Kakashi turned and began to walk away from him. No. I need to know if nothing else. Mad wait. Pausing, the scarecrow faced the boy and said you wanted something. Watching with mild interest, the Jonin watched as the genin bowed and spoke, please, I have an ambition that I have to fulfill, and things that I have to do, and getting stronger is something I have to do in order to achieve these things. Even if it's just teaching me some jutsu, I need your assistance. Will you help me? Blinking, he thought he's so much like me, for you. Fine. We'll train for the remainder of the week to see what you're capable of accomplishing under pressure, and no, this won't be easy. Closing his eyes, the Uchiha said, hi. I will endure whatever is needed. Placing his arms behind his head, he began to walk away. 5 paces later he turned and called, so, you coming? We can't train you if you're not going to follow me to a practice field. Hi. Hokage's office. So, Tsunade, Shizune, it's good to see the both of you again. The blonde stated, yeah, I'm sure glad to see you too, old man, how's life, and who was that gaki just a moment ago? Chuckling, the old cage said, life's treating me as usual, paperwork is still the devil's instrument. That was Naruto, he's one of our most promising genin. I look forward to facing him in the tournament just to see how far he's come along. Nodding, the Sannin said, really? He's that good? Hi. All eyes turned to the fourth person present in the room, mahogany hair swaying slightly as she tilted her head. I noticed his aura was rather strong when we entered this room, he's truly skilled indeed. Who are you, may I ask, little lady? Tsunade laughed nervously for a bit as she said, oh. I'm sorry. I forgot to introduce you, this is. The girl interrupted with a bow saying, Mikakushi Kurama. You can call me Mei for short. I'm Tsunade sensei's apprentice, second to Shizune senpai of course. Standing, she had a small smile on her face as she continued to say, it's an honor to meet the legendary Sarutobi Hiruzen, Kami no Shinobi himself. Sensei spoke of you every once in a while when we were on the road. Will you shut up? Geez, next you'll be telling him about where I've been. Smiling, Shizune said, if you want, I could tell him. No, you won't. Hi. Laughing, the Hokage said, well, glad to see you getting along so well. It's a pleasure to meet you as well, young lady, and it's interesting to know that student does talk about me. We'll have to talk more often. Of course. Blushing, Tsunade yelled out, damn it, no you won't. Either of you. Snickering, giggles, and chuckling was heard for a moment amongst the four as they enjoyed the jest. Sighing, Mei suddenly said, well, I've had fun. I'll let you adults have your grown time now, farewell. In a blink she had faded away, as if she had never been there. Gasping, the old shinobi said, and Nani? She's just. Tsunade said, yeah, took us some time getting used to it as well. I don't know all of her skills, but I do know that she's been holding a hell of a lot back, so, that kid of yours the same as her? Yes, him and another by the name of Hinata Hyuga. The two of them are my best genin so far, and I'm really interested to see how well they do in the next few days. So that's what this tournament was about, you're testing them? No, testing everyone. Based on the outcome, we may very well have some new promotions. This gives the opportunity to truly know what my shinobi are capable of, and that will greatly help in deciding who is the best fit for certain missions. The daimyo won't see them until the Chunin exam, but this will truly be one of the best contests to be had within Konoha's walls. If all goes well, I may do this again on an annual basis. We'll see, won't we then, so, who all is taking part? Any shinobi that wants to. I've let those out on missions continue them, and those that don't wish to be a part aren't pressured into it. I expect a large crowd will be watching this unfold, and some opinions will be changed or at least reassessed. Now, why did you bring that girl with you? I didn't think you'd have an apprentice outside of Shizune. But Naruto. As the boy got to his front door, there was a letter on the front of it. Opening the mail, a slip of paper fell out, and picking it up the boy read. Hello there. You were asked to come to the academy for a get-together of sorts. You will not be the only one, and there is much that you need to learn. That's weird, but whatever, it's probably that girl again, let's find out what she wants. But Hinata. Having gotten to training field 7, the Hyuga princess found a letter awaiting her on the ground. What's this? Ino and Sakura. As the two girls sat before a window at Ino's house, the girl's mother called up saying, Ino. Sakura. You two have letters down here addressed for you. Huh? Letters, for us. Shikamaru and Choji. The boys sat quietly as they were playing a game of shogi. Deep in thought, neither of them saw Shika's mother come in with the letter until she spoke. You two, you've got mail here from an unknown address. Wait a sec, mail for us? Who'd even know where to find us? Don't know, I just found this outside with your names when I went to clean the porch. Huh, this is so mendokusc troublesome. I agree. Hiba. As the boy played with his dog, Tsume came over to him saying, Oi, you got mail. Nani? Who the heck's sending me crap at this time of night? Maybe it's Hinata sending me an I love you letter. Barf. Hiba looked down as his partner sniffed the envelope and shook its head. Shut up. You don't have to be such a dream killer. Shino. As the boy sat near a glass structure with nests inside of it, he turned as he heard his mother enter. Hello, Kasama. Hello, Shino, you have a message here for you. Cocking an eyebrow he repeated for me. Academy. Naruto entered the academy and came to stand against one of the pillars in the gym area. And think of where Lee whooped Sasuke. As he stood waiting, he sensed two others entering into the vicinity, and when they did he said aloud, so, what are you two doing here? I was expecting to meet somebody. The girl with brunette hair rolled into buns on the side of her head, and a boy with black hair in the form of a bowl cut stepped forward, saying we were sent a letter here, explaining such an incident as well. The girl replied, seems somebody wants to have a little chat with us here. So who are you? Naruto Uzumaki. You too. I'm Tenten Higasha. This is Rock Lee. Soon after, Hinata walked into the building, and upon seeing Naruto with two others, she called out, Naruto-kun. What are you doing here with these two? Looking on, Lee said, hey, does she not resemble Niji? Are they related? Tenten replied, yeah, they are. They're from the same clan. How'd she know to come here? She got a letter the same as us, I assume. Blinking, the young Hyuga answered, correct. I got one too. What's going on? We're gonna find out apparently once everyone gathers that was called out here. For now, we wait. 20 minutes later found everyone that had been given a letter in the building, all genins, even Sasuke had gotten a letter. Once they were all present, a light came on over them all and lit up the walkway. Turning and looking ahead, everyone saw a girl with mahogany-colored hair, mother of pearl eyes, a cane, and a cloak said loudly, welcome. I'm glad that you all were able to arrive in such a short time. Now, I won't joke around seeing how valuable your time is, but I will tell you the reason why I've called you all here. My name is Mei Kurama, and I am to warn you all of the overwhelming odds against you in this upcoming tournament. Hokage's office. You see, when Shizune and I were traveling, we visited a town that was known for its massage parlors. When we had arrived, that girl was outside, fighting some guy who had tried to grope her in the middle of her massage. Normally, we would have intervened, except the fact was that this girl single-handedly beat the man down. Then, beat his friends when they came to help, and turned around and healed them all before getting her cane and walking away. We had never seen a normal girl with that kind of skill, so upon following her for a while, she led us out to a stream, and as she bathed called to us. Shizune took over, saying we were taken aback at the fact that she had even found us when we were over a mile away. No normal person could have possibly done that. So, we sat down and talked with her. When we finished, she had revealed that she was taught by a blind man in the arts of self-defense and healing through massage work. She called the man Zatoichi. The Hokage took all this in stride, nodding. The old man said, I've heard of that man before. He was an elite Ronin who was blind and took up the mantle of masseur as a way to make money. He also did it to cover up his vigilante work. He was a lethal swordsman, easily trumping the 7 swordsmen of the mist. To have been trained by that man, she should be more than capable of taking care of herself. So, why is she here? Smirking, the blonde said the plan was to make her a Konoha shinobi and put her in this little contest of yours. She's been under my wing for a little over 4 years now. I've taught her everything she needs to know from me and of Nindo way of the ninja. She will excel in this tournament, and when she does, I want to be there to see just how strong she really is. The elder smiled as he said softly, so, we're in the same boat you and I. Nope. Smirking, he said really? Yep. Why's that? With a bright gleam in her eye, Tsunade said I plan to beat the crap out of both you, and that perv as well. With a laugh, the old cage said well, aren't we being ambitious? Very well, I'll do the paperwork, you give her the equipment. I want to make a wager. Oh? What kind of wager? And Naruto will challenge Mei and win, even though he doesn't know her abilities. Okay, if the man who trained her is as strong as you say, then this should be easy money. Tsunade-sama. We don't know anything about Naruto either. Academy. Wait, so you mean to say that we go up against Jonin and even the Hokage Sannin? Yes. They plan to thoroughly test all of you. Especially you two. Pointing at Hinata and Naruto, a few people laughed while others stayed silent. Kiba shouted, who the hell would want to know about we call Naruto? He's nobody special. Ah, but he is. He was trained by the great Masamune and Muramasa. Hinata has been working with an Anbu captain for years, and there is just no way that any of you as of right now could beat them. Tenten gasped as Mei spoke, and when Sasuke asked who the hell are they anyway? Some no-name celebrity trained such a no-name ninja, classic. The brunette said, the hell is wrong with you? Muramasa and Masamune are two of the world's greatest warrior smiths. To have one of their swords make you almost unbeatable, the skills that those two possess was said to be rival to the strongest cages known to exist as of right now. Silence followed. Naruto held a dangerous gleam in his eyes as he looked at Mei, as his mind worked, how the hell does she know about me and Hinata? Just what god was she bonded to? Hinata, we're going. I'm gonna go train. Hi. In a burst of flame and water, the two vanished from sight. Leaving the other genin at a loss for words. Sasuke clenched his teeth in rage as he turned and left as well, his action bringing to a quiet close the gathering as everyone left out to go train. Mei smirked as she vanished from the location as well, her mind working. Looks like this contest just got interesting. Time to train Namikaze Naruto. Ch. 14 Motivation. Point 2. Naruto, Matt. The boy came to a stop a little ways ahead of Hinata, who was rushing slightly to catch up. Who was that girl? How did she know about us and why did she tell everyone about our teachers? At least she didn't tell them about our other masters. Nodding, the young heiress followed her partner as they went out towards the training grounds. Shopping district. Ino, Shikamaru and Chaoji were traveling along together. The evening sky glowing a deep blue with the light of a quarter moon. I can't believe it, Naruto and Hinata. Who'd have thought that those two would get such strong teachers? Picking a few chips out of a bag, the young Akimichi said, yeah, I mean, we knew that they were tough shinobi, but to think that they were that far ahead of us. Kinda makes you think how much harder we've gotta work to catch up. Geez, it's also MENDOKUSE troublesome. Shikamaru added. Well, I for one am not gonna let the Hinata think she's better than me just because she's stronger. Looks like I'm gonna be doing some studying by you too. I suggest you both get serious about learning your clan techniques as well. The boy said goodbye, with Shikamaru stating how troublesome the situation was. Well, looks like we better get home and get started. Come on, Chaoji. Yeah. Academy. Tenten, Lee and Niji stood together just outside the academy grounds talking about the incident. Niji, that girl from earlier said something about Hinata, is what she speaks true. With a snort, the elder Hyuga said, how would I know? She goes to train with Naruto at the Nam at another location. Patching the cover up, Tenten said, where do they go? You said something about Nam? Don't worry about it. Pausing for a minute, Lee turned to Niji and asked, wait, is that Hinata girl one of the main branch? Is she the one you have a grudge with? That's none of your business, Lee, stay out of it. Tenten then said, you know what, I think we're gonna have to train separately for now, at least until after this tournament. Muttering agreements followed from the other two, and with that, they all went their separate ways. Kiba and Shino. What the heck, I can't believe that Naruto's the one that Broad wanted to talk about. Pisses me off that I didn't even get to talk to Hinata. Arf. Rarf. Whatever Akamaru, Naruto's still the same gutless twerp that he's always been. I don't care how strong he may seem, it's all for show. You're mistaken, Kiba. Nani? Naruto is much stronger than you give him credit for being much stronger. We are going to have to work hard if we are to be any match for them. Growling low in his throat, Kiba ground out, yeah, I hear ya. I gotta get stronger if I'm gonna beat Sasuke and make Hinata recognize me as a proper mate. Akamaru barked in agreement with the two shinobi and they continued on to their own homes for training. Sakura. I don't care what that girl says, no matter how good that annoying blonde gets, there is no way that Naruto is stronger than Sasuke-kun. Is that what you think? Sakura turned toward the speaker, only to find a person standing on the branch of a tree. Show yourself. We just met a while ago, but very well. Jumping from the limb of the tree, Sakura watched as Mei landed before in a small cloud of dust at her feet. You're the one from earlier. What are you doing here? Smirking slightly, the seemingly blind girl answered, I'm here to tell you that you're weak. What? You're a pathetic Kunoichi, and I'm here to say that you are by far the weakest out of all of the genin of Konoha. Even that Ino girl is stronger than you. Sakura shook with rage as the Kunoichi continued on to say, mental strength is nothing if cannot show a physical power as support. Take that back, you bitch. Sakura drew a kunai and threw it at the girl, and Mei merely sidestepped it. Yet as Sakura took 3 steps in a charge, she was frozen in place as a blade appeared at her throat. Nah. Silly girl, let me show you just what it is you're going up against, Naruto. Sasuke. Wandering along the road, the Uchiha's mind went rampant as he thought about the past moments. No wonder that loser is so strong. He's been training with the sensei for years. It doesn't matter, once I activate my Sharingan, I'll be able to defeat him and then I'll kill him. Training Ground 7. Naruto and Hinata arrived at the grounds just as the clouds covered the moon. How are we doing this? I'd say an all-out spar. You up for it? Hinata turned to see Mei walking towards them as the light of the moon came back out from its cloudy covering. Without looking, the blonde said that a challenge. Think of it as more of a training session. I see. Who's your bond with? I am the apostle of Tsukuyomi, god of the moon. Apprentice of Tsunade of the Sannin and Zatoichi the Ronin master. I am here to aid your training, Naruto Namikaze. Chuckling to himself, the blonde said so that was who I sensed when I was with Amaterasu. Very well then, I'll accept your help. Hinata glanced at the pair as the conversation went on, and looking to the Hyuga, Mei said, it's okay if you wish to join us, Hinata Hyuga. I'm only here to help and I believe that you are in the same predicament as your friend. Shaking her head, the wide-eyed girl replied, thank you, however, I've to go see the Hokage and let him know of my own plans to train elsewhere. I have already arranged to train separately, but good luck to the both of you. When she was finished speaking, she faded in a burst of water, leaving the two alone on the field. Well, are you ready to begin? How's this work? Smiling sweetly, the Redeed answered, first, I am going to place you within my Tsukuyomi no Mi. It's a powerful genjutsu that acts as an alternate dimension that I have full control over. I will be using that to train you in all your incomplete aspects, then we will go all out. I'll get to train in maintaining its duration past my current limits while doing other things simultaneously. And that limit would be a span of up to 3 days per second. Nodding, the blonde replied, well, that's impressive. Doing a curtsy, the girl answered, saying, why thank you, Naruto-san. Now, let us begin, shall we? Hi. Sasuke ch. 15 Training Day. The two ninjas said nothing as they attacked, both coming in low and spinning into a hook kick that caught against the other, yet the duo simultaneously jumped into a secondary kick that also found a twin. Landing in handstands, both flipped away from their counterpart with smiles on their faces. They're pretty good. So are you. Now, let's stop playing around, okay? If you wish. Drawing a kunai, Naruto once again charged in, yet Mei simply smirked as she began doing hand seals. No, you don't. As he closed the distance, the blonde hurled his kunai at the girl while going through his own hand signs. The kunoichi merely sidestepped it, saying, come now, this can't be the best you have. I thought you said that we'd stop playing around. You're right, boom. Eyes widening a bit in understanding, the wine-haired kunoichi jumped to get away, but the force of the explosion knocked her forward towards the incoming shinobi. Chi. Flipping to stabilize herself, Mei came out in a rolling crouch that had her face to face with the kneecap of her opponent. The blow sent back a ways as the boy finished his seals Suiton Mizutepo no Jutsu water release. Water gun technique, inhaling deeply, the Uzumaki unleashed a stream of high-speed water that was directly aimed at his opposition. Finishing her own seals, Mei called out Doryuheki Earth-style wall. A solid stone slab appeared before her just as the water came close, cutting a deep line into the earthen shield. Boy, still think we're playing. Slowly, the girl faded into thin air, thinking, let's see if you are Namikaze. She's quiet, what's she planning? Inpotentin Yomi no Jutsu Forbidden Art Heavenly Release Land of Darkness Technique. Naruto froze as the world went black. What is this? Kurama's voice came out through the void. This is hell. This jutsu recreates the very nature of its namesake Yomi. You'll find that no jutsu nor Kekkei Genkai will save you once here. It is invincible. Nothing man-made is invincible. Ah, but you were listening right. It's a TNTON heavenly release, meaning that I didn't make it. I was taught this by Tsukuyomi himself, and when paired with another technique of mine, it truly is unbeatable. Patent KAENHOUSHAKI Fire, release flamethrower. Naruto blew fire into his hands, lighting them both before inhaling again and emitting an enormous blast of flame upwards toward the sky, and a second burst down against the ground. The result was a small blaze flickering in front of him. However, after a moment the flame died out, plunging him once again into darkness. Come on and fight me. Alright. Schling. Arg. The blonde yelled in pain as he felt a blade go across his back, turning with a roundhouse gave him nothing but more pain as he then felt a cut along ribsage. Kuzo. I've told you already, Naruto, this technique is invincible, especially when someone like you relies too heavily on one sense. Welcome to my world. I've lived like this since I was 4 years old, alone and in the everlasting void of darkness. What the hell? How am I supposed to get out of this? Heavenly, that's it. I'll fight fire with fire. Closing his eyes, the boy began to relax, focusing on nothing. He could feel the wind as it blew through the forest behind him, he heard the water ahead of him as the stream went rushing on, and he smelled the scent of iron from the wounds he had sustained. He turned slightly at the sound of an incoming object and suddenly leaned back to avoid it as the blade of a shuriken came soaring by and almost cutting his eyes and nose. That's it, relax, let your body's senses take over now, let's try again. Charging ahead, Mei saw Naruto tilt his head slightly at her approach. But let it take hold of you, let it become who you are. Faster than normal, Naruto drew a kunai to defend against whatever it was coming at him, and soon enough he was rewarded with clang of metal hitting metal. Well, this is a surprise, Namikaze. Can you please stop calling me that, it's Uzumaki. Grabbing out, the boy caught hold of his enemy's wrist and with surprising speed and agility, flipped her over his shoulder and went with her. Contorting into an axe kick aimed for the head, but to no avail when he found nothing beneath his blow. As he crouched down, heard Mei speak impressive. You knew where I was. Yes, I almost forgot about using MAAI swordsman's field of perception to spot you. Listening to you, I didn't think to use my technique without my sword. Speaking of which, you cut me twice using a blade, yet you never had one before. So, what are you using? A chuckle escaped the dark red head as she answered, it's a shikamazu. A cane sword like that of my master, its skills are quite numerous in my hands, similar to that Muramasa you made. How good are you with it? Enough so to beat you down a couple of pegs for thinking that my blade is anything similar to yours. Well, then, do try me. Slowly, the blonde placed his right hand on his weapon, thumb on the Tsuka hilt, as he drew it in an underhand grip. The gold aura washed over him as his eyes gained the same color. A cruel smirk creeping onto his features as he said, you know, you are quite possibly one of the best targets I've had the pleasure of fighting so far. I want you to know that when I kill you, I'll erect a decent grave for you as my appreciation. Is that so? So this is the ominous presence I sensed from him. Looks like I'll have to play it safe, otherwise, I'll end up just as he said. Yep. Prepare yourself. In a flash, the blonde was behind the Kurama in an overhead strike raw. Diving left, she barely avoided the blazing trail that followed the swing. And if a smoking portion of her right sleeve was any indication. Purling, she went into a one-handed round-off and slid back crouching. That was close, well, at least I know he's not playing. In the forest. As the battle commenced, a certain Pinkat was standing in utter disbelief. How is this possible? Naruto, he's amazing. There's no way that he's so strong, in the academy even I was better than he was. Was he holding back on us the entire time? As she watched, she saw Mei start disappearing, and catching the girl's eye, she saw the wink sent by the mahogany-haired Kunoichi. She's enjoying this. How could I have, even though of fighting her, she'd totally kick my ass. Yomi. As with Naruto, her entire world fell into shadow. Except, she could see the blonde standing still out in the field. What's going? Arg. She saw the young shinobi get cut in the back and then again in the ribs. She's killing him. She got up to run in, but she was held still by a firm hand, looking over found her in the proximity of Mei. What are you? The hand over her mouth silenced all argument and whispering the girl replied, just watch. It's going to get real interesting soon now, we begin the real fight. But, his eyes are closed, how are you two doing this, what's with this darkness technique, how's he gonna fight? As Mei sent a shuriken towards her target, Sakura watched him evade the weapon and then go on to block his opponent's attack. Well, how'd he do that? She continued to watch as the two talked and see Naruto slowly release his blade from its sheath. Bum. Ch.16, unveiling. Hokage's office. Knock. Come in. Hinata Hyuga came in as instructed to find the Hokage with a honey blonde woman with a large bust, a raven-haired woman, and a pig sitting in the former's lap. Coughing, the young heiress spoke. Excuse me, but I've come to inform you of my training, it will be done elsewhere away from the village and without Nico-sama. Nodding, the old Kage said, very well then, Hinata-chan. I'll be sure to let your father know for you. Have you met my guests, the women you see before you are Tsunade and Shizune? They are to be taking part within the tournament as well. Running up to the women with the pig saying with flushed cheeks, arigato, that would be very much appreciated, it's a pleasure to meet the both of you. I have always wanted to get to meet the great Tsunade Senju of the Sannin. Sweat dropping, the dark-haired Kunoichi said, well, I'm quite flattered you think so highly of me, I am not Lady Tsunade. Turning to the other woman, who held a large pulsing tick mark on her brow, Hinata bowed. Gomen. Please, I must be on my way, but I look forward to challenging both of you, sayonara. Then, in a whirl of water, the wide-eyed princess was gone. So that's the one you were talking about, right, old man? Hi. That was Hinata Hyuga, my other genin. I tell you this tournament is going to be something. Yeah, I can't wait to see her. I'll help her remember which one of us is the Sannin. LL Lady Tsunade, it was an honest mistake, don't punish her too harshly for that. Aha, I'll teach just how big a mistake it was. Just wait for the tournament. Training grounds. Once again, Naruto was petrified where he was with his eyes closed, the blonde genin felt his world swim and completely flip. What the hell? With a cruel smirk present, May giggled out, heh, surprising, isn't it? To have your whole state of being tossed the way it is, give up, this match is over. A snicker found its way to the boy's lips as he growled out, you know, you're one hell of twisted chick. Didn't even see the strategy till now. Excuse me? Your main skill in combat is to disrupt your opponent's senses. Take his side and force the other senses to work, take his those away, and the rest is history. Well, you're a smart one, Uzumaki, I'll give you that. What gave it away? The fact that you gave me time to adapt, when if this were real, you'd have finished me off the first few seconds after my sight was taken. Good. You've learned how to fight without your precious sight. You still haven't figured out what to do about them. Chuckling to himself, the wine-haired Kunoichi replied, what's so funny? I don't believe this is a laughing matter. No. It is. You really think something this weak is gonna stop me? I'll show you true power, Kurama. Setsunin Kuno anguish. May's mind reeled as her body was suddenly flung backwards. What? Feels like being hit with a giant sledgehammer. She could only cough as she made to stand, her body sagging low as she did so. That's when she heard Naruto's voice say. Mew Mew Jinpuryu Aogi. Suzaku Lightless Divine Wind Advanced Style, Suzaku. May jumped left just before a blazing crimson phoenix soared into the spot where she was but a second ago. Glancing to the affected area, she saw that the ground, the trees, and even the air itself seemed to be caught ablaze. He's able to do this much damage with just one attack. I'm impressed. I'm surprised. I didn't expect you to be able to override the Tsukuyomi no Mei so easily, Naruto. I'm not done yet. Ara. You can stop now, this fight is over. I concede you the victory for our little training session. TCH. Fine. All that I have to say is that this fight never happened and no one knows but us present. That goes for whoever is in the bushes over there as well. So, you noticed, alright, Sakura-chan, you can come out now. Would you bring that billboard with you? Aren't there better people who could have seen this? Well, I assume there are. However, she was the one who needed to see this. Sakura. Come on. After another few moments of nothing, the two rushed over to the Pinkette's location, only to find her unconscious. What happened to her? I don't know. Tenro. Blinking, the Uzumaki thought aloud, no. Nani? That's impossible, she's the heir. Naruto, what are you talking about? Before Muramasa-sensei passed, her told me to hide his sword Tenro away somewhere, and when the true heir revealed themselves that I was to instruct them in the ways of the Mew Mew Jinpuryu. I just can't understand how it's this spoiled brat. Life has a very surprising way of entertaining people. Whatever. Look, you take her home for me. What? Matt. You can't just. It was too late as the girl had already vanished from sight. Aitsum, damn her. Leaving me here with her G's, how mendokusc troublesome. Elsewhere. Shikamaru. How many times have I told you about covering your mouth when you sneeze? Omen, Kasama. Ugh. How mendokus. Training field, hours later. Yawning, the bubblegum Kunoichi sat up thinking aloud, what happened? It doesn't matter. Turning to the voice, she found Naruto sitting against a tree next to her. Hey, what are you doing here, weren't you fighting? About that, I don't want you talking about it to anyone. I mean anyone, got me? Fearfully, the girl said, how'd you get so strong? I remember in the academy that you were worse off than I was. I faked it. You saw my genin exams anyway, that's not the point. As to answer your question about how I got strong, you're about to find out, get up and come on. Huh? You and I are gonna start training for the tournament together unless you want to stay the weakest genin in Kunoichi and Konoha. Her mind reflecting on past events, she prosed, can you help me beat that May girl? Smirking, the blonde said, if you train hard enough, I'll teach you how to match me. I'll do it. But the brutal spark in his eye, the blonde answered, then let's go. What if Naruto was champion of Amaterasu? End here, and thanks for watching my video till the end.